5 in all 3 phases. And it's the first time any team's been that through this many weeks since 1999 with the 1999 Rams and that 99 Rams team. So pretty wild.
Pretty good team, it turns out.
It turns out. And look, it starts with divisional dominance, though, man. Divisional AFC West dominance. We already know 7 straight AFC West titles. They are well on their way to making it 8 straight. And you're trying to figure out, can they run this up as much as the Patriots did? The Patriots won 11 straight AFC East titles, 17 of 19 during that stretch. As well, the Chiefs, after this season, because it sure looks like they'll make it 8, are going to be within real striking distance of accomplishing that. And you look up the makeup of the AFC West right now, quarterback-wise, coach-wise, we keep saying the Chargers are the biggest threat, but they fail.
Are they a threat? They haven't even threatened that much.
We keep saying they're the biggest threat because of what we perceive to be the best quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes in the division. But they continue to squander their opportunities, fortunately, and the Chiefs take advantage of it, and we're able to bury them on Sunday. How long is this thing running?
Oh, man. Okay, so at least this year, we know that, right? That's part of the conversation. We've locked that in. Next year, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that one up, too. Everybody else, right? Think about it. The Chargers would be implementing a new offense, implementing a new head coach for their quarterback who's already come up short, Gold, and they have players to pay. They're in a cap situation that makes it difficult. Raiders are at least 2 years away, right? They don't even have quarterback figured out. Their coach is awful, and I'm not even sure their cheap owner is going to fire their coach. So they might have another year of Josh McDaniels left. At the very least, they'll have a new coach, new quarterback, and I don't know that they're going to be bad enough to get Caleb Williams or Drake May or one of these guys that immediately jumps up there. So we're done there. Okay. Now I'm down to the Broncos. They're the worst team in the division right now. They've still got Russell Wilson tied up. Sean Payton's a better coach, I think, than the other two we have previously discussed. But he's at least got his wagon hitched to Russell Wilson for at least a year. Gold, I think we're at least two years before, year 3 after this one. So 2 more after this one. In the 3rd year after this one is when 10. I will entertain the possibility of them losing the
last year where they have a chance to tie it, you think that's going to be...
That's when I'll entertain the possibility of them losing it. I'm telling you it's not happening until then.
The tricky thing is in the NFL, you are usually able... It's not baseball where it takes 4 years to turn over a roster, and it takes time to build it back up. It doesn't take that much time in the league usually to flip it. The problem is, as you said, with the Broncos in particular, is it's a couple-year financial issue and draft capital problem. They gave up first and second-round picks for Sean Payton. They gave up picks, and we all know the contract situation for Russell Wilson. That's why it's hard to believe that anytime in the next 2 years, the Broncos are that team. The Raiders, very likely in the next year or two, are going to have a new head coach. They're not as screwed quarterback/financial they're not hamstrung by the finances as much. They got to still find their quarterback and all that, but they're not locked into anybody over the next 2 years. So they're kind of an unknown, like if they happen to hit on the right draft pick, but they're not like, we know the Broncos are stuck for 2 more years. The Raiders theoretically 2 years from now,
turn it over.
If they drafted Drake May or something like that and he was that dude, he could factor in. But it's not just about finding the talent. They still have to exceed what the Chiefs are doing.
Yes, they have to. That's the whole point. Like what I was going to say, and you're right, is it's not just that they're probably in a better position to turn things around than the Broncos are because the Broncos are kind of stuck in no man's land. The Chargers, right? Maybe the right head coach finally unlocks this potential we've talked about with Justin Herbert for a while. They still have to get all these teams. The Broncos and the Raiders have to get 7 games better, Gold? They're not getting that much better in 2 years. I'm expecting them to get 7 games better in a division where what might be the reigning 2-time MVP. No, that's not going to happen. It's just, we're at least 2 years away, I think, from having the conversation of, is this the year that they lose the AFC West? I mean, it's a couple years away at this point. They will legitimately and have a chance to legitimately threaten the divisional streak by New England. That one, by the way, is ridiculous. They won it 17 of 19.
Yeah.
17 of 19 years is bonkers. Yeah, 8 in a row is crazy, which is what they'll finish with this year. 17 of 19 is nuts.
It's hard to automatically start counting, 3 years from now because everything on paper, sure, sets up that way, but weird things happen in the league, man. Injuries are unpredictable. right? All it takes is in year 10 or whatever, the streak suddenly, unfortunately, there's a season-ending type of injury. So
that was what ended the Patriots streak, by the way. Matt Castle was the starter. They still won 11 games, but they fell short to Miami.
So that's why it's like I don't think it's this automatic thing just because the AFC West looks the way it does that they're going to get to 11 or 12 in a row. They certainly are on track, and everything is positioned for them to do that. But not only are there other teams that maybe find their franchise quarterback, that's one thing, but you got to stay healthy during that. Also, do you think Andy Reid's here for the entire if they get to 11, is he here for all 11? There's a lot of things we don't know, right? I mean, the chances of them getting to 11 certainly are much higher if Andy Reid is still the head coach.
Right. There's been a handful of things that, look, we're wrong on some things. I'm more than happy to admit the things I've been wrong on as we've gone through time. And we've got an update on, I feel like, an unfair bias that's been thrown just at the drive for the Travis Kelce thing. Remember, yesterday I said shame on everybody for doubting Travis Kelce. We might have a little bit of something where maybe Carrington isn't the only person who deserves a little heat here.
We went back in the archives a little bit. We did some digging yesterday, and it's amazing what you'll find when you go back a couple years.
But there's been a couple things on this show that I think people have thought we were wrong on that as a show we have been definitively right on. One was Creed Humphrey and his emergence into this. The other was the people who were trying to prematurely make Andy Reid retire. Gold, I don't think it's close. I don't think we're 18 months away from an Andy Reid retirement. I once again think it's years and years away. Yes. I think if they're still winning, if they've won 10 divisions in a row, do I think Andy's back to take a crack at 11? Yeah, I do. Mostly because of Patrick Mahomes. I think if this were Alex Smith or some other quarterback and they were just kind of mired in mediocrity, but they had won one Super Bowl, I might have a different feeling about it. He might have just gotten that one Super Bowl, still stuck with a Kirk Cousins type quarterback, and he's like, screw it. I'm not going to coach forever chasing this dream again. He has one of the most, if not the most talented quarterback in NFL history. I just don't think he's walking away from that, having spent a lifetime dedicated to one sport. This divisional thing does not feel particularly close for the next few years because while the Chiefs have maintained their superiority, the other teams seemingly are getting further away from competing for it. That's maybe the most surprising thing from it. The Chargers and the Raiders used to compete harder for this thing. They're not close. They're not even in the running right now. And the Broncos, they're not getting any closer either. Seemingly, they're getting further away in this AFC West race.
I mean, it's not just the competition themselves maybe getting worse. It's just the Chiefs continue to excel and continue to be not just the division champs. Remember, they have hosted 5 straight AFC title games. They've won 2 Super Bowls in the middle of this 7, soon-to-be 8-year run, and who knows if they end up back in the Super Bowl this year or not. But it's as much as it is the competition and poor decisions that have clearly been made with hirings and firings and trades with everybody else, the Chiefs have also continued to raise the bar with their own level of play. I asked you the question about, if this thing gets to 11, if Andy Reid is part of that, I'm with you that barring health and things like that, like any coach, I do believe he will be here for multiple years going forward. Is Travis Kelce part of the full 11? Because that's always been my question. If the offense and this organization, what does it look like when that individual, future first ballot Hall of Famer, the best tight end in NFL history, when he's not part of the equation? Those are the two elements. If you're asking what could derail them matching the Patriots'
run? 2 years to find another weapon.
What could derail them matching what the Patriots did in the AFC East of 11 straight? What could derail that? What happens if you don't have those two pieces, a Kelce or an Andy Reid during? Those would be the two biggest things that could derail it, other than a serious injury that impacts.
What's funny about that too is that the Andy thing does concern me. I understand that they're likely and almost assuredly going to take a downgraded coach. Somehow the way it's gone in the post Brady Belichick era and the way it went for Brady when he left gives me a little more reassurance that it'd probably still be okay. Gold, and it'd still be probably fine. My dream scenario here is now with the next head coach after Andy Reid is that it just lines up, the stars line up perfectly with the coach who's gotten fired just because they're tired of it, Let's say the 49ers go 8-8 2 years in a row. Perfect. Lines up for Shanahan. Or Mike Tomlin, eventually they don't win enough in Pittsburgh and they're like, all right, get out of here, Tomlin. We're still not winning anything. And if you're like, well, that doesn't happen. It happens all the time in the NFL. Great coaches leave good circumstances all the time because people get tired. You get tired in that city of it. That's what happened with Andy Reid in Philly. It's not that Andy Reid was a bad coach. They just got tired of it in Philly. He had one bad enough season that they're like, okay, we're good. and he hadn't won the big game.
Philly's also just so much different, just the
sure.
sports and the culture, frankly, and the mentality and the pressure that exists in that market and and all of it's just so much different in
Realistically,
Philadelphia.
probably, let's face the reality that what. But odds-on favorite right now, if there was an offshore book of next head coach of the Chiefs, is Matt Nagy, like
Sure.
minus plus 200 or something.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, that's probably the way it's headed, realistically, but we'll see.
Coming up again in about 20 minutes, we'll talk with Vinnie Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, about now soon to be week 8 of the NFL season. Wanted to go back to the wide receivers a little bit. Rashee Rice, snap count continued to go up. Very promising. He, along with Travis Kelce, to me, are the two players heading into every single week outside of Mahomes that I trust the most in that offense. He's now part of that club for me, even as a rookie. It speaks volumes to his progression. I love the fact that they did what we wondered, which was after a longer week of the Thursday night game. Now you head into that Chargers game. Would he increase his snaps? He certainly did. He's part of that. So does that change how you feel his ceiling is, though? We can look at pacing numbers and all of that, but I'm telling you, I think he's one of two guys in the passing attack that you trust now and Mahomes trusts. The volume's not going to decrease for Rashee Rice.
It should only go up. So both my ceiling for this season, which has, by the way, already been exceeded from what my preseason thoughts would have been, you and I both would have been very happy, and I think seemingly we're content with the idea of maybe 450 yards from Rashee Rice this year. He is on pace for well over that. I think my new ceiling for him this year is probably an 800-yard receiver because he's pacing for in the 700s now, and his volume seemingly is only getting ready to increase as the time goes up. So you would think, sure, that would make sense. For his career, absolutely. I, at no point when they drafted Rashee Rice, based on the type of player he was, thought of him as the kind of player who's going to turn into a 1,000-yard-a-season wide receiver. I now definitely think that's in the cards. I don't know that I'd predict it yet. I think I'd want to see a little bit more time out of Rashee Rice in just the 6 games. But I think just like the other guys we talk about, Kelce and Hill, or even Justin Watson, you can tell when Mahomes kind of instantly trusts somebody and when he's willing to get the ball to that player kind of under any circumstance. He had it with Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson had no business being a 450-yard wide receiver in this league. He's barely been in the NFL since he left the Kansas City Chiefs. He had no business being a 450-yard wide receiver. He was because Mahomes trusted him. Mahomes trusts Rice. I think it's all, I don't think, how about this? The only thing I'd come up short on him right now is I don't think he's going to be one of the 15 best wide receivers in the league, right? I'm not willing to be like, hey, he's going to turn into
No, but it was just last
Brown
week. It was,
or Devontae Adams. I don't see that yet.
It was just last week, the comparisons. I mean, Drew and you were talking about Tyler Boyd. So nobody's saying Tyler Boyd's a top 15 wide receiver,
No,
but
he's a
legitimate number
Yeah.
2. Legitimate number 2 wide receiver. I think if you were to stack,
It's like how we describe a Royals number 1 starters.
Fine,
It could be
yeah.
a Chiefs 1, but not like one of the 15 guys you think in the league is being that.
well, I mean, you just go through the wide receiver room and look at ceilings for all these guys. I mean, I still think we found the ceiling for McCole Hardman, even though he's back in Kansas City. Best case scenario, he's a number 3 for most teams in the NFL, right? That's probably his ceiling. Best case. All right, Rashee Rice, his ceiling, I'm not willing to cap it as a number 2 wide receiver yet. In this league, I think it's too early, especially with what we're seeing. Six now, soon 7 games, I should say, into his career. I think it'd be silly for us to say he can only be a number 2.
Yeah.
I agree with you that most likely he is a number 2 wide receiver in this league, which, by the way, 2nd-round pick. Look at this Chiefs organization. Absolutely, a lot of people would sign up for that in a heartbeat. But I'm not willing to cap it yet at that because he's only continued to show signs that he's improving week to week.
This is a numbers game for them, and if they finally hit on one, great. They've taken 3 second-round wide receivers since they've had Patrick Mahomes and Brett Veach has been the GM. One was a number 3. It was McCole Hardman. He was a 500-yard wide receiver pretty much every year he was here. He's fine, had a role, but he's a number 3 wide receiver. Sky Moore, to this point, is a 4 or 5. We'll see where his career lands, but in the early stage, he's coming nowhere close to that 2 range. Rashee Rice looks like a 2 now. Like he looks like he's just already settled firmly into like comfortable number 2. With the upside of low end 1 or any of the things in there. No, I definitely have much higher expectation for him than I did going into the year just because he already looks the part. And honestly, he had plenty of competition. That should also stand out. This year going into the year, he was behind Kadarius Toney. He was behind Justin Watson. He was behind Sky Moore. He was behind MVS. Think of the players. He had to jump 4 or 5 players just to earn his role. And last week, he was pretty much second in the team in snaps. MVS was 1. Him and Sky Moore were co-number 2 in snaps. So, I mean, he had to jump quite a bit roster-wise just to get on the field. And now he's done that. That's why I feel like his ceiling is so much higher than I originally thought.
Real quick, address the elephant in the room. Just facts as far as that. While we're talking about wide receivers, a lot of people have asked on the text line. Well, obviously, we're well aware of the Justin Ross situation. We'll see where everything ends up over the next 24 hours or so. Right now, no comment from the Chiefs. He has a court appearance later on this afternoon, and there'll be 2 counts related to an incident yesterday. And at that point, we'll see what the team decides to do. There's really not much of a discussion to be had. We don't know the full details yet. All we know are the facts, which is there's a court appearance this afternoon, and at that point in time, we'll have an opportunity to make bond, and that is really where we're at. He's the 6th or 7th wide receiver for this football team. So, at that point, the Chiefs will have to make a decision whether or not, with the information that they have as well, whether or not it's worth moving forward or not. But that's really it. I mean, as far I don't know, really, there's not a huge discussion to be had other than the facts, which is an unfortunate situation. It looks like that involves 2 misdemeanor charges: domestic battery with no priors and criminal damage less than $1,000, which is an important distinction because the initial reporting based off of the booking recap was over $25,000, which that would have been a felony. The updated information is that it is 2 misdemeanor charges that he'll appear in front of a judge for later this afternoon.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I think you're looking for an opinion, but it's difficult for us to give one until I have more information. If any of this ends up being reliable and more stuff comes out, I wouldn't hesitate if I were the Chiefs to make a move that means he's not on their roster. But again, it's plenty of time to wait for some. I don't think I need the whole legal process to play out. That could take a year, but I'd like some more information than I have than I did last night before I make a decision.
Yeah, there's the Chiefs, and then even if the Chiefs are comfortable with the situation, then there's still the NFL that plays a role. This is stuff that could take some time, but really don't have a ton of individual details around. Just, again, the 2 charges or 2 counts for this afternoon in a court appearance for Justin Ross. All right, someone that is not with the Chiefs yet, but around Thursday of last week, it seemed like it was almost inevitable, Cody, which was the Frank Clark situation, that Frank Clark could come back to Kansas City after being cut by the Denver Broncos. That of course, was official last Saturday that he was available. But here we are. We sit on a Tuesday. He's still not a member of any team in the NFL.
Yeah, what's going on there?
There was some reporting that said he was having a physical last Thursday. Nothing. Crickets from that standpoint. And I know now with the Nick Bolton injury, you're thinking, well, there's a roster spot potentially because Nick Bolton's likely going on IR. Yeah. He missed 2 months or whatever, right? So is that the corresponding move at some point that happens? I'm not so sure. We both thought that it was a roster crunch situation. And are you accepting of your role if you're Frank Clark? Because I think nobody believes that other than practice squad or getting minimal snaps and being a leader, that's it. No, you're not taking significant snaps from a Minihue or Karlaftis or Chris Jones or anybody like that.
Normally Frank Clark is not one to just say nothing, and Chris Jones doesn't say anything. That's what kind of Frank Clark is clearly, he's made it so obvious to the Chiefs that the only team he wants to be with is Kansas City. The last tweet he sent out related to any of this was, Denver was solid. I love horses and mountains. He hasn't sent anything out since that time. My guess is that because he's made his intention so clear, the Chiefs do not have to move swiftly on this. I don't think they're worried about a lot of other teams coming in to swoop in to take Frank Clark.
Although because he wants to be with the Chiefs.
Because he wants to be with the Chiefs. He wants to be with his friends, Chris Jones. I think he's probably seeing the end of his career coming closer and closer. He already has a couple of Super Bowl rings here, and he wants to be back with the same team that is 6-1 to win a Super Bowl. But the Chiefs are under no obligation to be urgent here. And because of that, I think that's what's slowing down this process. I think they want an actual time to evaluate to make sure they are willing to let go of maybe a defensive line depth piece like Malik Herring in order to bring in Frank Clark, that it's worth it to them to make that risk. Obviously, they were right in not giving Frank Clark the money he got from Denver because he wasn't worth that contract based on the amount he has been able to play this season. So they were right to move on from that perspective. But at league minimum, it's hard for a guy with his experience he's not like 39, a guy with his experience to not upgrade you in some way. I'm just guessing that it's slow moving because they have no reason to be in a rush.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Frank Clark wants to play for a contender, and that was pretty evident with how things went in Denver. And deep down, I think we all know he wants to be in Kansas City. He's essentially, with his tweets last week, kind of reinforced that. talking about I'll be in town for Red Friday and all. Like he is going to, if he lands anywhere this year, land back in Kansas City. You might be right. It might be a couple weeks from now. It could happen now with the Nick Bolton situation. Who knows? With the IR visit likely happening there. Otherwise, he's going to have to sit around a bit. He's going to have to sit around a bit if he wants to play for the Chiefs. And you're right. They're probably able to be extremely patient right now. Other injuries might happen later on in the season, and suddenly he becomes way more valuable to the Chiefs, and maybe he does become more valuable to another contender as well. But I think the benefit they have is what you were saying, which is that I think deep down, Kansas City's the spot that he would like to return to and give it another shot after going to the Super Bowl last year.
Just doesn't make sense. Although it is weird. I kind of like just Frank Clark here because I think he's entertaining.
Oh, he's a great soundbite. We know that.
He's super entertaining. When we're talking about when I'm personally deciding as a radio host between the 6th and 7th defensive end, entertainment value holds value to me. Not gonna lie. for me personally, that's the case. The other part is that there's gotta be some other spots on this roster where you can move some of the depth. Like the obvious one we've talked about is wide receiver. Because at some point, Justin Watson's going to come back. But they've got like 8 wide receivers right now. Like, we can get back to the Justin Ross thing or what might happen as a relation to that. But as it sits right now, they have 8 wide receivers. They don't because Justin Watson is currently just kind of in no man's land. But eventually, he'll come back, and they won't carry 8 wide receivers.
And Richie James is on IR, and he might end up being there all year.
Yeah, and very well probably will be. Was he only a 1-year deal?
Yep.
God, sometimes it's like, and look, he got injured, so it is what it is.
Unfortunately,
yeah. He wasn't playing much.
He was going to solve all the problems, Cody. He was going to solve all the. He was going to
just threw for 424 yards and 4 touchdowns.
But I'm told
the problems are solved.
But I was told the offense is completely screwed so many times the first 6 weeks of the season. Yeah, even though they're still top 6 now, offensively in the NFL. Coming up next, though, we'll talk NFL, not just with the Chiefs, but looking beyond Kansas City, heading into Week 8 with our NFL insider Vinnie Pasquantino, right here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports.
Week once again. Chiefs heading out to Denver on Sunday afternoon to talk more about the Donkeys and the Chiefs and the rest of the NFL. We welcome in our NFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino. You enjoy the bye week, your Jets, a nice stress-free weekend.
Yeah, nice stress-free weekend. I guess this is a rivalry week now with Nick, huh? He's out in Denver.
That's true. Yeah, he transferred. He transferred to being a Broncos fan now. We should definitely find out how he enjoys that.
Yeah, so that's going to stink for him this weekend when they get crushed. So sorry, Nick, to break your spirits this weekend, but it's going to happen.
Real quick, before we get back to the Chiefs, Jets-Giants this weekend, right? I mean, that's a huge deal. I feel like there's a lot of confidence from some Jets fans, at least on social media, towards Giants fans with the way the Giants have looked.
Yeah, I think so. I think I feel pretty good about it this weekend, but that's a dangerous spot because I can't remember the last time the Jets were favored in a game, and I felt good about it. So I don't know what the line is, but I'd imagine that it's probably like 2.5 Jets or something like that. I don't like being the favorite because then if you lose, then you have to pay for that. You know, you're supposed to win. But yeah, I think the Jets look pretty good right now, especially with the Bills losing. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So I'm excited about it.
Vinny, are you going to go, we know that you're a Jets season ticket holder, but this is a Giants home game. Are you going to go to the stadium anyway to watch the Jets?
No, I will not be there. I've got a few busy weeks coming up. I'm actually going to be in Kansas City the next 2 days, so welcome me back in there. There might be some exciting baseball things happening over the next few days that I'm going to be able to do.
Right.
Potentially physical activity being done. We'll see. And then Chargers-Jets Monday Night Football I'll most likely be at. And then at the end of that week is Sunday Night Football, Jets-Raiders in Vegas, and I'll be at that game as well.
When you look at the rest of the NFL, I want to ask you a couple of quick contenders or pretenders. So teams you think are actually competing for the Super Bowl or ones you have questions about. How about the Bills?
I think right now they're pretenders. There's a lot of injuries on that defense that guys done for the year. That really hurts them. And they haven't looked the best on offense so far this year. I'm going to go ahead and say pretenders on that one.
Jaguars?
I don't know. There's something about the Jaguars that I don't love. Maybe it's their uniforms. I don't know what it is. But I personally, for me, in my own opinion, I think they're pretenders.
All right, Detroit Lions. That's the last one I'll ask you.
If they get the 1 seed, they're contenders. If they have to go play outside somewhere in January, they are pretenders. So that's all dependent on if they're the 1 seed, I think they go to the Super Bowl. If they're not the 1 seed and they have to go play outside, I don't think there's a chance.
It's funny how just 1 week changes everybody's perception of a team. The Lions just got their butts kicked, right, by the Ravens. The Vikings win last night, and you're like looking at the schedule like, oh, is that division actually as done as we think? Are you right now willing to lock in the Lions as a division winner for the NFC North?
No, because they haven't proven it. I think they do win it, and I think this is the year that they do prove it. But you do look at that Viking schedule, you get Justin Jefferson back hopefully in a few weeks, and all of a sudden, you never know what could happen.
Vinny, in the same idea, so this idea of opinions change. Obviously, the 49ers now lost 2 in a row. Brock Purdy is really the center of this conversation. Is Brock Purdy good enough to win a Super Bowl with?
I don't know. But I guess how many I'm trying to do quick math in my head. How many quarterbacks in the league have won Super Bowls right now?
It's less than that. It's 3 and 3 active ones. And some of them aren't even on teams that matter. Like Russell Wilson's one of them.
It's Rodgers, Wilson, Mahomes.
That's it.
That's it? That's crazy. Well, I guess then he could win a Super Bowl because I doubt Mahomes is going to win it every single year, maybe most years, but not every single year. So, yeah, I mean, I guess so. Why not?
We're talking to Vinnie Pasquantino. Yeah. Look, we're fine if he wants to win 5 in a row or something, Vinny. We're totally cool with that if Patrick Mahomes wants to do that, as we're talking to Vinnie Pasquantino, our NFL insider. Back to the Chiefs, though, specifically. They now have all 3 phases rolling, Vinny. There was concerns early on. It's just 1 week, but that offense against the Chargers in the first half in particular, that looked more like what Chiefs fans were used to.
Yeah, what a surprise that the Chiefs, with the best quarterback in the league, have figured out their offense. I am utterly shocked. It's crazy how with a bunch of young wide receivers, and it takes a few weeks for them to kind of figure out what they want to do. I can tell you I'm utterly shocked by that. No, I'm just kidding. They're ridiculous. So, yeah, they've officially become the scariest team in the NFL, in my opinion. And I'm glad that the Jets got that game out of the way early in the season, even though they lost.
By the way, we forgot one quarterback, Matt Stafford. Also
Forgettable guy.
included
A forgettable guy, you know?
in the Super Bowl champion on a 3-4 Rams team. So I apologize, Vinny. 4 guys, but one guy's injured for the year, and I don't think Russell Wilson's getting back there this year.
Whoa, injured for the year. Says who?
Well, I guess not,
Vinny,
not
this is-
Aaron Rodgers.
I think, Vinny, this is very predictable. There's going to be, and I hate to say this to you because I know you're a diehard Jets fan, and you should have plenty of faith. And being 3-3, considering everything, actually is remarkable. But I already know what's going to happen in January. It's going to be the end of the season. There's going to be a story that comes out when the Jets just barely missed the playoffs, and it's going to say that Aaron Rodgers had the most remarkable recovery ever. They've never seen anything like it before. It was the best recovery, but his team just didn't get it done for him. It's going to be put on the Jets, not for Aaron Rodgers.
I like that. Yeah, you probably got that right. Or he is going to come back and they're going to lose an absolute heartbreaker, and he throws for like 100 yards because he's clearly not healthy. But hey, you never know. Modern medicine is a great thing. We'll see what happens.
Vinny, on the modern medicine end of this, I do want to ask you one thing we haven't asked you. It's been a fierce debate on this show. Are there some players who simply just don't age? My suggestion is that Travis Kelce may never age. He might just have 1,000 yards receiving until the day he retires.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most people age, but I don't even know how to answer that question. I don't know how old he is. I
34.
don't know. Okay, 34. I don't know the lifespan of tight ends, but I'm assuming he's knocked most records
Yes.
in terms of longevity out there. So I would think he's got at least a few more years, and maybe for Kansas City, maybe he just doesn't age and just stays forever.
I mean, I'm not saying like he's going to be 57 playing the position. I just thought we had to I thought he was essentially the Tom Brady of tight ends, where he would go out still swinging, you know?
He does a good job. He protects his body when he falls. Good faller. Takes tackles well, so that's good news.
That's an underrated skill set, by the way, being a good
And
faller.
also, that's like the grass there is unbelievable. So I'd imagine it doesn't hurt as bad to fall in that grass as opposed to some of the turfs around the league.
Do you guys notice that in baseball, by the way? I guess I'm just curious. We talk so much about NFL football fields. Do you guys complain about certain surfaces you have to play on for baseball?
Yeah, all the time. It's a constant complaint because. Well, I mean, as professional athletes in general, we do complain a lot. So there's always something to complain about, and we're going to find whatever it is, whether it's field surface or whatever. I know, like outfielders specifically don't love being on turf because it bothers the ankles and calves. I play on the dirt, so it doesn't really, affect me all that much. But there are definitely a lot of conversations being had around the playing surfaces of the field.
Lastly, Vinny, how are you consuming the ALCS and LCS? Like, are you locked in every night? Like, how have you been watching?
I've gotten more locked in as of recent. I'm like, this is the time of year I'm more excited for the season to end because then things can happen. But it's still exciting watching games go on, and it would be crazy if the Diamondbacks make it to the World Series. Not that it's crazy because they're not good, but just because it was so unexpected. So it's cool to see that the Rangers, a team that. There's a lot of things that a lot of guys around the league like about the Rangers. So it's cool to see them in it, and it's nice to see Houston get knocked off. And, especially Philadelphia, Texas would be an awesome series, but Texas, Arizona would be just as good.
You said there's a lot of things that the Rangers do that people around the league like. I'm just curious, what is it? What is it that's, I guess, kind of interesting or attractive about them for other big leaguers?
It's just, that's not something I want to talk about on here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just curious.
It's nothing secretive or anything that they do. It's just guys like it there. So
okay,
yeah.
fair enough. Hey, Vinny, appreciate it, man. We'll check in next week.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
There you go. Vinnie Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, joins us each and every Tuesday. I was just curious. He's
probably just well managed.
Yeah.
The appeal of. If you're looking at these series, if you're a Royals fan, are that the Rangers are the opposite of the argument that was We mocked the teams that spent a bunch of money and didn't solve their problems and weren't good enough, like the Yankees and the Padres and the Mets, who tried to pay money to solve their problems. The Rangers were a 60-win team 2 years ago. They spent a bunch of money, and now they're heading to the World Series. They also traded for Max Scherzer in the middle of the season, which probably doesn't hurt. But, if you're looking for a team that was 60 wins 2 years ago and now finds themselves an incredibly important player, probably the Diamondbacks are actually a better example. They got one young star, a guy who is one of the best young players in all of baseball, and Corbin Carroll, and then they just rode that the rest of it. They were an 84-win team this year. The Diamondbacks won 52 games 2 years ago. The Diamondbacks won 52 games. There's a decent chance the teams that had 52 and 60 wins 2 years ago could play each other in the World Series. That's great news if you're a Royals fan, if you want to have faith that you can turn things around awfully quick. The only hesitation with the Royals is the farm system comparison between where those two teams are and the money that the Rangers spent is never going to come close to what the Royals will spend this offseason.
Coming up in about 6 minutes or so, we'll get to the trash of the day. But I don't know if you guys have been checking in on the latest up in Michigan with this cheating scandal. More information keeps coming out around their football program. I think it was late last week it first came out that maybe there was an investigation going on around Michigan football, and were they illegally scouting future opponents by stealing signs. And a lot more details have come out. Pete Thamel from ESPN put out some information that now they've tracked it down to a Michigan staffer, okay, this guy named Connor Stallions, okay, and they allege that he bought tickets for more than 30 games at 11 Big Ten schools over the last 3 years. And they claim they have video evidence of sideline taping that's expected to be sent to the NCAA this week, and it was caught by surveillance video at these stadiums. Now, I still wonder at some point if we're going to hear that Michigan's going to claim this was this rogue staffer that we didn't know he was going to.
Oh, they're definitely going to try to claim that.
But some of the details are, think about 30 games. You know how much money? This guy, they looked it up, he makes around $55,000 a year as a staffer at Michigan. He doesn't have the money to be buying tickets to 30 games at 11 Big Ten schools over the past 3 years without somebody else, Michigan, giving him some money.
He just spent front row ticket money all the time.
He would buy tickets, allegedly, and he would send them to, buddies or whoever to go do the filming. They would literally just have their phone, and they would film the sideline all game. And they reportedly have video of people in these guys' seats doing that in all these different stadiums. Mm-hmm. And I've told you time and time again,
worse.
I don't know why people don't have their Venmo transactions private. I don't understand the intrigue of making Venmo transactions public. Don't get it. One report also says that they have this Connor Stallions Michigan staffer with a public Venmo payment that he labeled as GA, and it happened to be the day before a Michigan or before the Peach Bowl, which would have been a game they were scouting ahead of time because Michigan was getting ready to play Georgia or
Correct.
whoever. They seem like they're kind of screwed on this whole thing, and I wonder what the excuse is going to be for Michigan here.
The problem here, and the reason why this is going to end up being a massive scandal is they're the number 2 team in the country right now. Not just in the previous years where we just vacate wins and we don't care. They didn't win a national championship. So for the previous year's Gold, do we make a huge deal that they cheated? They vacate college football playoff appearances. Yeah, it's a big deal in college football, but it's not an actively big deal. It is an actively big deal because they are the number 2 team in the country, and they had a guy traveling to stadiums forward stealing signals from opposing teams.
Yeah,
it's Spygate, man. It's real bad. That's real bad look for Harbaugh.
It sounds like Spygate a little bit. We do. Someone's right. We need to get our Michigan insider, Josh Vernier, to get his thoughts on this. Someone said, "What? How is this cheating?" Again, you can scout.
Me?
You can scout all you want.
What part of
you can
videotaping the opponent's sideline did you not hear?
You can advance scout, as every team does, all you want. You can't have someone go to another game and, by the way, not tape the game. Literally, the video footage is just to the sideline, as in truly just stealing signals. He reportedly then would send the video back to Michigan, and they would scout and see if they can't pick up any clues based off of that. Yeah, that would be cheating.
There was a picture that was on social media of one of the coaches of this guy being next to the OC when they're on offense, and then the DC when they're on defense. And there was like a playbook almost, or like a play sheet in like a divider, and it had like arm signals like that and that's all it was, and it had like little words underneath it. So it's like if you have things of just arm motions like this, or like a stick figure doing this or whatever, doesn't really help your case at all.
Here's the problem. It's like the way some of these other articles were describing it is like he was like the little kid from Angels in the outfield. He just stand near Harbaugh and let him know when he saw signals he knew.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, there's an angel now. You know that it's cover 2. You're like, no, that's no good. He's standing right next to the guy. If you actively steal them in a game, I still think it's completely different.
During a game is different. You cannot, again, people are saying, hey, on TV, you can pick up on signs. Yeah, nobody's saying that's illegal. They can do that all they want, because you're right. We see that. You cannot
send a guy to the
someone
stadium.
on your staff to another game and have them videotape just the sideline. You can even, I don't know if they would bend the rules on this. Like, even if he was just there watching the game is one thing. He's videotaping the sideline or having somebody do it. That's why they're in trouble.
There was also a tweet from On3 that said, Steins had 2 tickets for the Ohio State-Penn State game, 1 seat across from each bench, and he did not attend the game. So,
well, yeah, he wasn't doing it himself. He was buying these tickets, and he was having other friends
people go.
Yeah, because he wasn't flying all across the country. But yeah,
they hit up Gold and they're like, hey, man, you want to sit third row of the Kansas football game?
I just need you to hold up your phone.
Just hold up your phone the whole time on the sideline. You can sit wherever the hell you want, man. Enjoy.
Don't make it obvious.
I don't know what really happens here. Like, I don't. It's the NCAA. We all know how this stuff goes.
How little control they
have.
So
I don't know. You know, there's some national college football reporters suggesting that the Big Ten as a conference should step in and ban them from the Big Ten title game. I have no idea if it's going to reach that level. But it's pretty wild. Yes, teams need to change signals. For those of you on the text line, they do. Again, it doesn't mean you can go and have someone actually videotape just the sideline during a football game.
This is one of those things that I feel like if you have the evidence, it's very obvious what needs to happen. Like, you have to have a very severe penalty, like you're not making the playoff this year, or you're not in the Big Ten title game. Like, I feel like it's very...
We got to suspend Harbaugh.
If evidence comes out that this has happened, there's no way that it can't be a really stiff penalty, I feel like. And Michigan's already been involved in a couple of these, of course, how real or not those were, how stupid they were.
You know what they're going to be hurt by? They're going to be hurt by the Astros part of this, which is not only were they doing it, and the Patriots, they were good at it. In the time in which they are accused of doing this, they are a 14+. They are 22-1 since they've been accused of doing this. Turns out, Gold, maybe they were just really good, right? Maybe this happened to be really good at the exact same time they were recording their opponent's signals and then using them on the field. The problem is the Astros won the damn World Series while they were banging on a trash can, and the Brady's won, and Tom Brady and the Patriots won a Super Bowl while they were recording the sidelines. When you, in addition to it, have massive amounts of success, no one's ever going to give you credit for anything else you did. They're just going to assume you cheated your way to being better than everyone else.
Yeah, I don't know what the NCAA is going to do. I don't know if I agree that they should be banned from future college football. I have no idea. But what I'll say is, like, the thought, though, that nothing is wrong with what they're doing, I don't know how that can be your take. Like, someone said, they paid for the ticket, do what you please. That's not how this works. By the way, here, do you want to relate it back to the Chiefs? I don't know. You guys don't care normally because the inner workings of media stuff, it's not a problem for you. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. At training camp for Kansas City, all right, when we're up at training camp for the Chiefs, we're members of the media. There are certain portions of practice we cannot even film as members of the media, okay? But you know who can? You as a fan. Or other media outlets that aren't credentialed that do video even though they're not supposed to. Anyway, that happens. But you, as a fan, can do something that us as media, or in this case, Michigan staffer, cannot do. So no, just because you bought a ticket doesn't mean you can do whatever the hell you want.
You can't just be like, well, he didn't technically work for Michigan, so this is probably fine. No, that's... Boy, that's really
that might even make it worse.
Lines. Yes.
I feel like that makes it worse. Like, you're going to go to a random fan and say, "Hey, do you mind doing this for us? We'll give you some money. We'll pay you for your ticket." And
it's not like the fan went there and he's like, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to film. I'm going to go to this game. I'm going to go to this Ohio State game tonight, and I'm going to film the entire sideline. And then I'm going to take this thing to a guy who makes $50K a year working for Michigan. I'm going to be like, hey man, you want to buy this?" And he's going to be like, "You know what, good sir, you are allowed to tape that, and that'd be great. I would love that video of all their hand signals on the side." That's not how it went
someone
down.
on the text line does say, "Who wants to start a business with me? We'll call it Sideline Shots. We'll go to every single game, record the sidelines, and sell access with memberships to institutions secretly."
Oh, my gosh.
Boom.
Probably make some good money.
Yes, they make so much money.
All right, that's what's going on in Michigan. Something. I mean, there's supposed to be video coming out in the next week or so of that. But let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
This is an update.
Ooh, I like a good trash of the day update.
Multiple months back, I don't know, it's probably been, Cody, 4 months or so at least, we had a trash of the day about the theft of 2 million dimes from a truckload of coins from the U.S. Mint. Okay? The update on this is actually, it was back in April 13th, as a matter of fact.
Before Drew was even here.
During the night, thieves made off with a portion of its cargo, $750,000 in dimes in particular. A shipment weighing about 6 tons. And I remember at the time we were like, how did they transport this? Also, how are you going to convert it? Are you going to go to a Coinstar machine? You can't do that. That's too obvious. Do you have a deal set up?
We joked about that.
Yeah, are you going to go to a laundromat and have a deal, and over the many years you're going to launder the money, literally? I don't know. Okay? Turns out they've caught the individuals. 4 are now facing several charges, and they have surveillance video of them allegedly going to basically these Coinstar machines in Maryland, and they got caught. You can't be going in there with thousands of dollars worth of dimes on a regular basis.
That's the most suspicious behavior of all time, man. And even the brief time I worked for a bank, if someone showed up with a gallon jug every couple of days just full of dimes, I would have a lot of questions.
They converted into cash at coin machines in Maryland, or they also deposited some at 4 different banks in Philadelphia. Yeah, that was going to raise suspicion.
The robbery?
Yeah, just like, again, dumb criminals for a reason. But, yeah.
This said they also, I can't believe that they actually took it to a Coinstar machine. When we joked about that, I was like, this is a useless stack of dimes. I said, the only way you're getting away with this crime is if you slowly spend it. You're taking $100 worth of dimes every few weeks. You buy yourself some groceries and just slowly spend $250,000 worth of dimes in slow necessities. It's that, or I don't know, start a car wash business and eventually funnel them through there.
Breaking Bad over here.
Not only did they steal useless dimes, they, according to this report, stole other things that I also think would be very hard to get rid of.
Okay.
Thieves stole thousands of pounds worth of frozen crab legs, shrimp, meat, beer, and liquor. At least liquor, right? I might be able to sell that. I might be able to sell a bottle. But again, what? One at a time? You can't walk into a restaurant and be like, hi, good sir. I have $50 worth of Jack Daniels. Would you like to purchase them? No, not from the stranger off the street who now mysteriously has 50 bottles of liquor for sale for me.
I mean, back in April, one of the police spokespersons for the Philadelphia police even made the joke. He said, hey, if for some reason you have a lot of dimes at home, this is probably not the time to cash them in. As in, they're on high alert. We had someone come in that like $10,000 worth of dimes, because that doesn't happen on an everyday basis.
Ever. It
idiots.
Doesn't happen ever.
Absolute idiots. Now, they haven't accounted for the other $200,000, though. So I don't know if this is one of those where...
buried them?
Are they going to, you're going to go to
This
prison?
is Walter White? They've got, like, in the middle of the desert, they buried some dimes?
I don't know whether they're going to go to prison for 20 years and then come back out in 20 years and they've got actually $200,000 in dimes. They still would have the same problem. How are you converting the dimes?
What the hell are you going to do with them?
Oh, man. What a waste. You went through all that trouble, heavy, by the way, 6 tons, I think we said, was the weight of the dimes, all that trouble, and you really thought you were just going to go through Coinstar machines and nobody was going to think anything of you putting in dime after dime, thousands of them?
I mean, if you pulled off this heist at least in 1930, they were made of actual silver, and you could have melted them down and made bars or something.
In order for it to work, you have to go back in time 100 years for this to actually have
dimes are
worked
made
out.
of like things. They're not even like a valuable metal.
Dude, they had millions of dimes they were going to have to convert. Millions.
Again, I'm telling you, the only way it would have worked, Gold, is that if you just had, let's just say you had those like jugs, like a big, 100-gallon barrel, and you just had like a big scoop. And then every couple of weeks, you scooped up some dimes, you put them in the old Coinstar machine, you got some cash.
Like 100 a
50,
week?
60, yeah, maybe not even a week.
But that's just not enough.
Maybe a couple times a month.
When you have that kind of that's not good enough for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happened. They're like, no, we're not waiting that long. It could have taken them years to do it at that pace.
And then you'd have to convince your entire family to be in on this. Let's say my kids get a little bit older. My kid's like, hey, I want to go to a movie with my friends. Do you think I go to a movie with my friend and be like, yeah, no problem. Remember, just take a scoop out of the dime bucket, take it to the coin machine first, and you'll have 30 or 40 bucks.
You, they should have,
no problem for the movie, son.
I'm telling you, they should have done the laundromat idea. They should have already had someone they knew that owned a laundromat, or they should have opened a laundromat or something. and just funnel the dimes through the laundromat because way less suspicious. Although usually it's quarters. That's even the problem. They're not like laundromat's quarters, not dimes.
You're still going to need enough quarters flowing through that they'd be like, what is this, a dime
know,
only?
Man. All right. That's the trash of the day.
I'm glad we got an update.
We do. We didn't know if we were going to get one. They didn't last very long, by the way. Happened in April. You always get caught.
Chiefsaholic got
always
away
getting
longer
caught.
than that.
Chiefsaholic got caught, though, eventually. You're never getting away with it, all right?
Someone asked if it was worse that he got busted laundering through casinos or this. Laundering through casinos is way better, I think. The dimes are
tracked, though, through the casino. They have documentation of everything.
I guess, dude, but dimes?
And they're both terrible, but every casino has a million cameras. Both are stupid, frankly. All right, coming up next, Kadarius Toney and where he stacks up right now for the Chiefs and what Andy Reid had to say about his performance surprised both Cody and I. We'll tell you why next.
Chiefs fans, it's Creed Humphrey. Don't miss Cody and Gold.
forget. And by the way, later on this afternoon, 1 o'clock out, we'll pick a winner. We
Sure.
Of course,
I've got the list.
Put that together. If you subscribed on YouTube already last week, we appreciate that. You're entered for a Club 610 spot. We have not forgotten about that. We will pick 2, actually, Cody. Not just 1. I forgot 2. We have 2 Club 610 invites to pick coming up in the 1 o'clock hour today. But you we appreciate if you haven't subscribed, youtube.com/@610sportskc. Also, you can subscribe on Twitch. We'd appreciate that. Facebook, got that back up.
Is it working?
Is it?
You know what? It should be.
Yeah.
I did not check it today. So I have finished the comprehensive Odyssey level training that offers us the opportunity to have access to those things again.
Comprehensive training.
Oh, come on. That was like
quotes.
4 hours worth of training I went through. 4 hours. I don't know if it was that long. From start to finish, it might have been.
Yeah, we both did it. We had it on in the background of our laptops.
No.
Man. Let's not act like it was this.
Easy there. Easy.
Come
there
on
might
now.
be people who were listening
Come
to
on
this.
now.
And I had already completed 4 of the things without even knowing it. And yes, we are on Facebook. We're back.
There you
We're
go.
back.
There we go. How about that?
So doesn't matter where you want to watch the stream.
We'll get to our college football whip around here in about 8 minutes or so. But you and I were listening to Andy speak yesterday, as all of you were able to do at noon right here on 610. And he was talking about Kadarius Toney, who right now has 18 catches for 105 yards. And coming into the season, it was first and foremost for most people, right? Stay healthy. And then hopefully with you stay healthy, the production's there, right? The team thinks you could be a number 1 wide receiver.
That was legitimately
right?
what most people.
Okay.
I was a little more hesitant, but for the most part,
right.
that was the consensus.
So then listen to what Andy said yesterday, and it sure sounds like the bar, even internally, has been lowered.
Yeah, I'd tell you this. How great is that, man? I mean, he's stacking games. And for him, he's a great kid. So for him to be able to do that, even though he didn't have a whole lot of catches, he had a chance for a big one down the end zone there, and Pat threw it to Kelsey. That he was wide open on it, and but he's doing a good job, and I love the fact that he's stacking games here. That's it's great for him, and it's also great for the team.
Okay, so yes, it is great that he's not injured for a wide variety of reasons, for himself and for the team. But is that where we're at now, where it's just stacking games and we're happy?
Just being there is a win?
Yeah,
that ain't good.
No, again, 1 catch for 13 yards last week, 3 for 9 the week before, 5 for 26 against the Vikings. I think we all recognize the skill and the talent that exists, but at some point, it has to lead into production. I'm thrilled that he's not hurt. I mean, that's great. Nobody wants anybody to be injured and out for multiple games. So it is great he stay on the field. Okay. But you got to be productive with that. And right now he's not. So it's great that he's stacking games. Sure. But if he's not producing, then it doesn't do you any good.
So this is not, I'm not going to try to turn this into, and it's not worth being like, I told you so. My hesitation.
Go right ahead.
My hesitation with Kadarius Toney from the beginning was not just the injuries, but that I had not seen his talent yet turn into production. I thought, just like you thought and most people thought, that there was an unlimited amount of potential in Kadarius Toney's talent that could lead him to being a number 1 wide receiver for this team. But if we are already in the we're just happy he's available to be on the field phase, how am I supposed to feel about the rest of the season? If the only compliment Andy Reid can come up with in a press conference for Kadarius Toney is he's stacking games and great kid, super nice. None of those have anything to do with his play, his actual ability to get open, to see the field, and to be consistently good on the field. He's only played, 25% of the snaps right now. Okay, so let's chalk up a couple of games and just say he was never fully healthy. He had off-season surgery. So he had a few weeks where he wasn't fully healthy. They put him on the field, but let's face the reality. He was never ready to play that full amount of snaps. He played in week 1. They have played 7 full NFL football games. Even if he wasn't healthy by week 1, he's got to be healthy by now. So he's playing 25% of the wide receiver snaps. He plays 0 special teams, by the way. So what exactly is he offering right now? We talked a lot about Sky Moore, but he's not exactly doing anything with those 25% of the snaps.
No, and
he's got 105 yards on 18 catches. He's catching everything 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. Do I think at some point in the future there's a game that he's going to help them win like he did in the postseason off of a punt return, or he had this touchdown in the Super Bowl? Sure. Yeah, I do think that's still a possibility. But the consistent production, we're heading into week 8. And so, yeah, just the stacking games by no means was ever the plan. And look, I know Andy Reid is never, nor should he, is ever going to be like, yeah, we're really disappointed with Kadarius Toney. Okay, I understand. That's never going to be said by Andy Reid in a press conference. But hearing them like, these stacking games, we're really thrilled with that, basically.
That's essentially him being is disappointed.
Yeah, like that's not comforting whatsoever. I do think he'll help them win a game at some point this season, but you're seeing the snaps shift. And by the way, right now, haven't we all said we've seen production from Rashee Rice? Like, you're wanting his snaps to increase. I think McCole Hardman's snaps are going to increase from what we saw. And with that, I don't think you're going to see many more snaps from Kadarius Toney. I think that's where we're at right now. One of these games, maybe he takes that wide receiver screen, Cody, and he takes it 45 yards. I think that probably does happen.
You're describing him like Justin Watson, which is a hell of a slide down from where we thought he might be before the year started.
I think the evaluation process internally as well, that's where it's been disappointing. I'm happy for him that he's healthy. I truly am. But you got to be producing as well. Otherwise, it really doesn't mean much for the team.
So last year, he played in 7 games for the Chiefs. This year, he's played in 7 games for the Chiefs. This year, he's had more targets, more snaps, more catches in the 7 games. So you might think, okay, no. In that amount of time, even though he's had more targets, more catches, more snaps, he has less yards. He's not getting in the end zone. His average yards per catch way down, per target way down, routes run compared to down.
Yeah.
Like, he is a worse wide receiver than he was in the 7 games last year, and you were just trying to incorporate him in any way into your offense. They're not even saying, hey, go be the guy who takes a punt return and makes things happen for us. That's McCole Hardman.
And he hasn't been listed on any injury report either, because someone speculated, and I think we always wonder, like, is he healthy? But he hasn't been on an injury report in 3 weeks.
I think he just hasn't been good. I think this is a very simple. He has not been as good as they thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And look, it doesn't mean I understood the risk that they took. And hell, honest to God, if he just got cut at the end of this year, and I don't think he will, but if he was just gone off of this team, I might still make an argument that the 3rd round pick was worth it because they won the damn Super Bowl and he had a massive punt return.
I mean, I already would make that argument. Honestly, I'd already make the argument, Cody. It's been disappointing this year, but he helped them win a Super Bowl. At some point, that ultimately is the goal with this franchise and where they're at. If you make big plays, you know how this goes.
This is my same argument for the Orlando Brown Jr. trade made sense.
Yeah, I'm not saying frustration and disappointment, but all it takes, if you tell me in the AFC title game this year, if the Chiefs are back and Toney during the regular season only ends up at a disappointing 300 yards, but in the AFC title game, he goes for 4 catches randomly for 80 yards and a touchdown and one's a game-winning touchdown, nobody's going to care.
No.
But yes, it is absolutely disappointing, and it sucks that now seemingly we are at a point where he's healthy, and as if that's all that we're getting here.
That's legitimately all Andy had to say that was nice. Who's had a more disappointing year, Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore?
Tony for me. That was like me glitching out, I was
a real person?
That was AI, I guess.
No,
Drew's editing something in the background that we're going to use a little bit later.
Sorry,
but that was weird. As I was talking, it made it seem like I was just robotic glitching out. I glitched out.
We're on the video stream, so now you're actually.
I was getting excited for what we're going to do in here soon.
I guess so, man. No, to answer your question, Toney, I think for me.
For me, it's Sky, but I had more hopes.
I certainly thought Sky would be doing more as well. But Sky Moore is in his 2nd year in the league. I thought Toney was ready to take the next step, and obviously that has not happened.
It's time for the college football whip around on Cody and Gold.
All right, a little college football look. Why don't we start with the team that's been the best in the area and maybe a top 3 team in the SEC?
Hi, I don't think I was planning on being the lead of this topic most weeks, but the Missouri Tigers, once again, have not easily, but they've moved on to the next opponent. They have won yet another game. They are still fully in contention to end up in the SEC title game.
Got to go beat Georgia.
They should be undefeated right now. That LSU game is going to haunt them, I think, is probably part of the problem. But they've got a chance at the SEC title game. This is their biggest game since they played in the SEC title game against Alabama in 2014. Inarguable at this point. We know what we've been saying about Missouri a good chunk of the season, and most of these things have been true. I had been, and I told you a lot of this, I've been very critical of Drinkowitz.
Yeah.
But the fact is they've turned the recruiting talent, and they've been very good at recruiting. They've taken this recruiting talent, and they've taken it directly onto the field, and that's what this really comes down to. Missouri has really good players at every single level. They can run the ball. We've talked so much about Burden. Brady Cook had by no means his best game of the season. He wasn't even particularly good against Kentucky, and they were still able to put up 38
South Carolina this past week.
South Carolina in this past game. So when you look at across the board, you got to feel really good about Missouri. I think the remaining question is, are they good enough to actually take down Georgia? That's the remaining thing.
Yeah.
Are they a good enough team
if they do that,
to take
then,
down Georgia?
If they pull that off, then we're having much bigger conversations about what Missouri is capable of in 2023.
Well, we're not talking about SEC title game. We're talking about
College
their
football
chance to
playoff.
go to the college football playoff and actually win a national title.
The Georgia game is a massive hurdle.
It's huge.
But it's been a heck of a season already.
What chance do you give them to beat Georgia?
35% chance.
God, that's good. That's like I think most.
It's a lot higher now than what I would have
up.
said at the beginning of the year. Yeah,
that last part is 100% true. I saw Georgia struggle against Auburn as well. I'll probably still say like a 25% chance of doing that. But again, I think that might be higher based off of what we have typically seen from Georgia teams. But no, Georgia. I mean, that is still a daunting
That is a
opponent.
monster of a Georgia team. What is the current line for that game? I should have looked that up.
Georgia game?
Yeah,
It's not that. I don't think that's out yet.
it's probably going to be somewhere in the
That's not gonna be
50s.
out.
I bet.
We'll have to wait another week.
I just wanted to
Over under
you're
50s.
probably not.
17 for Georgia. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably 16 plus point favorites.
It's going to come down to Missouri's defense. Can they limit Georgia, and can the offense actually put up some points?
If you're curious, by the way, the look-ahead line before the season was 30. So if you're curious,
It won't be that. I'll tell you that. It won't
if
be
you're
that.
curious how much closer this game has gotten since the beginning of the season versus where these two teams are now,
Yeah.
probably at least 2 touchdowns. I give Missouri about a 15% chance to win it. I definitely think that they can score with just about anybody in the country right now, which matters a lot. But, I mean, God, what a massive game for their program. They beat Georgia in this one. I mean, write your ticket for whatever prospects you've been eyeing for the last couple of weeks.
Meanwhile, in Lawrence, Jayhawks are coming off a bye week. They've got a number 6 Oklahoma in Lawrence. Big noon kickoff.
Oh, there you go.
Joel
You gonna
Klatt,
go?
Gus Johnson going to be in town? No, I will not. I will not be
Why not?
there. 2 reasons. If KU would have not lost their prior game to Oklahoma State, more likely I would have been there because it would have been a top 25 matchup. It's also going to be like 55 and rainy. And it's not my job to sell season tickets, so I can mention how crappy the weather's going to be on Saturday in Lawrence. KU 10-point underdogs against Oklahoma. Jalen Daniels, according to Lance Leipold, unlikely, doubtful to play. The back
Team
issue
of the season
again.
for Kansas,
Yeah, so that'd be
unfortunately.
Jason Bean. I'm glad they're on it. I mean, the program, back-to-back seasons, college game day, big noon kickoff, that tells you where they're at as a program, something that you never would have thought would be possible after the last
2 years ago,
12,
3 years ago.
15 years of struggles. So
Well, they're just one win away from being bowl eligible.
they are. I don't think it's going to happen this weekend against Oklahoma. But, got to get to 6 at some point to at least get back to another bowl game.
The line's
That's a
only
fun
at
question.
10.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Better chance in your mind to win this weekend: Missouri at Georgia, Missouri taking on Georgia, or Kansas taking on Oklahoma?
Kansas taking on Oklahoma.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at-
I think I would agree.
Georgia's the number 1 team in the country. You know what I
I
mean?
understand, but Missouri's been very good.
I understand.
Oklahoma has been a top. They're 6th in the country. They've been playing very
undefeated.
well. But I think that game last week against UCF gives Kansas maybe a little bit more hope. It was in Norman, and UCF found a way to
that's-
almost win the game. Probably could have. Definitely won it.
That's the Oklahoma sleepwalk game after they take on Texas. Big programs do that all the time in these big emotional games against their single biggest rival. They took on Texas the week before. That explains UCF to me. I like Oklahoma in this game. I don't know if I like them against the spread, but I like Oklahoma.
Kansas State 17-point favorites against Houston. Houston nearly pulled off a stunner against Texas, but they might be a little bit exhausted after that one. Houston's 3-4. Another opportunity for Kansas State to get a win. Their schedule, as we've talked about previously, is light. There's a chance now. Who knows what happens with Texas? But Quinn Ewers out with the AC joint issue, I believe is what it was, and it could be Arch Manning, could be Malik Murphy. Murphy was the guy, as Sark was asked about it yesterday, said Murphy would be the guy for Texas. Maybe Texas drops another game or two. That gives K-State a chance to, of course, with that head-to-head, maybe give themselves a shot at still making the Big 12 title game and potentially taking on Oklahoma. So a must-win essentially in every single game if Kansas State wants to get to Dallas.
Avery Johnson, Will Howard. Normally, the 2-quarterback thing, you're like, oh gosh, it's just settle with one.
been
Man, it was awfully impressive.
Pretty good.
It was awfully impressive last weekend.
It's hard because college football is the only sport in which I would make an argument that you could probably get away with it. But you got to do it exactly the way K-State did it just there, which is we're going to let Will Howard do most of the work, and then when we get down in the red zone and we need points, we're going to let Avery Johnson's just pure freak athleticism shine. Great. Cool. Go. That's not the worst strategy, like you said. Just as long as you can, like, really what they're saying is if they beat Texas, they'll feel like they're going to the Big 12 title game. Although Iowa State's no pushover either.
Quinn Ewers banged up.
That Colorado win over TCU, by the way, does not look nearly as good as it did week 1. TCU got throttled by K-State. They're now 4-4. The Horned Frogs are.
Still a great job for Deion, obviously,
Yes.
in year 1. But again, it turns out that winning against TCU Nebraska did not equate to 7 wins automatically. I was told it did, though.
How close do they do a bowl game now?
They're still 2 wins away from.
Yeah.
Are they? Yes, they have 4 wins. I
They
think.
have four, but their schedule is very, very difficult to get.
They
to
have
bowl
Utah,
eligibility.
Oregon State still. Yeah.
Turns out the Pac-12 is very good this year.
Yeah, they have UCLA, Oregon
Washington,
State,
I think, maybe?
Washington State, and Utah. They got to beat Arizona 1,000% to get to 5, and then the question is, can they steal another one against Washington State or Utah? Those are probably the 2 most likely ones they can get the win.
Obviously, they're just going to kick themselves the entire year about being 29 to nothing at half and letting that one get away. Because there's your bowl eligibility right there. Then you only had to find one more win the rest of the way in the Pac-12 and then get your bowl game. Although we've seen 5 and 7 teams make the bowl before. I'll tell you
As
right now,
gross as that is, yes.
if there's a 5 and 7 team who plays in a bowl game this year, it will absolutely be Colorado.
Did you see the update? So normally, like, part of it is, you get some more practices, but part of it is you get the cool trip, right, for a bowl game. Like that's part of it for college kids. Some of them, it's some of the players, it's their only chance to go on trips to some of these really cool destinations. Well, the Bahamas Bowl would be one of them, right? Like, it's not a great bowl game, but it's the Bahamas.
Yeah.
They're doing construction on the stadium in the Bahamas. And so this year, the Bahamas Bowl, not in the Bahamas.
Is it like in Detroit or something?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I saw
Is it like in a really sad, like much sadder than the Bahamas location, or where?
It's got to at least be move to Puerto Rico at least, But no, they're having stadium renovations. This was an update. It says the 2023 Bahamas Bowl will be played in an alternate venue due to ongoing renovations at the Thomas Robinson National Stadium in the Bahamas. Specific bowl plans will be announced in the coming weeks.
Does that mean they still have they have like a high school field in the Bahamas? Hey, you know what? We're still playing.
Come
guys.
to Kansas City. It's just like the Bahamas. Just move the bowl game to Kansas City for 1 year. Let's play it at Arrowhead. Let's go.
Playing any landlocked game for the Bahamas Bowl would be a bummer.
Yes.
At least put it in like somewhere where there's
suck.
a beach and the sun.
You get to the Bahamas Bowl and you don't get to go to the Bahamas? It's got to be like you say. It's got to be at a beach destination. Heck, I would argue it needs to be in like Puerto Rico at minimum. At minimum.
So you're saying it can't even be in Hawaii. It's got to be it's got to be in the Caribbean.
Hawaii would be fine. I think Hawaii works for everybody.
I'm sure Hawaii could work out 2 bowl games.
But yeah, you can't have the Bahamas Bowl. I mean, I was joking about Kansas City, obviously, but you can't have the Bahamas Bowl in Dallas, okay? Like, that's not going to work. Bad timing for one of those teams. The Bahamas Bowl, I think, is like, it's Conference USA and the
MAC?
And the MAC,
isn't it?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, look at you. There you go.
That's a great opportunity for those kids, to go to the Bahamas. Like, who'd have thunk?
Well, they're not this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Not this year. They're not going to it.
Can you imagine that's why a kid commits? And I want to go to the Bahamas Bowl. I don't want to play in the Mountain West. I want to play in the MAC. I want to go to the Bahamas Bowl.
I mean, I've never been to the Bahamas.
I haven't either. It'd be great.
We'd love to go to the Bahamas. Love to go to Hawaii, anywhere, like that.
Any kind of beach vacation?
Definitely. Beach sounds amazing. Who doesn't like going to the beach?
It's fine.
Who was it we played an audio clip of?
It's okay.
Was it someone was it a Chiefs player? I can't remember. It was just an audio clip, and that's gonna drive me crazy. Basically, he said, "You know what? I don't mind the beach." Oh, Trent McDuffie. It was Trent McDuffie, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, "I'd probably go to a beach, but I really don't like the beach vibes."
Yeah,
or something like that.
No, he played at Washington. There's not really. I mean, there are beaches there, but
I'll just say, like, I don't ever plan. Like, of all the places I can choose to go on vacation, I'm never planning a vacation. I'd be like, I'm going to go to Turks and Caicos. That's just not my vacation plan. Or the Bahamas. Like, I'm just going to go.
I would love that.
Yeah. So what is your vacation spot then?
Things.
I would absolutely love that. Like,
major
I like
cities.
I love Vegas, but
mountains. They just depend.
So you'd rather have a resort in Denver, Colorado, or in Vail, Colorado, than go to a resort in
I tend
Florida?
to choose the city versus just the beach. I feel like if I'm choosing the Bahamas, I'm just choosing the beach. Like I'm just choosing to sit with a fruity drink on a beach, and I kind of want to
sounds
see.
amazing.
I kind of want I tend to choose my vacations around like the city in which I want to visit or the country in which I
get it.
want
No,
to
there's
visit.
nothing wrong.
That's
I mean, there's obviously great cities in the U.S. to go to, but if you're like asking, hey, here's $10,000 for any trip in the world, the beach would be very high up there in a ridiculous resort.
Bora Bora.
Sounds like for you would say, I just go to London or something, which is, hey, I'd love to go there as well. There you go.
I'm sure London has beaches.
They're probably not nice.
Look, I'm trying to make a case for the city of London because I too would love to go to London.
It's probably like 52
Someone says they've never seen the ocean. They're 34, been to Vegas.
Oh man, you
5
have to
times. There's plenty of people that have never been to the ocean, though. I know that.
go. Go to Pensacola.
Especially
It's been a long time in my life. We didn't go on vacation much as kids.
last time the ocean was, I guess so. Galveston, I don't count it much because it's just disgusting water.
Gulf of Mexico.
But
Yes.
when I lived
Feel
in
like it
when I
quite
lived in
counts.
Houston, you were
No,
like
it does.
when I lived in Houston, you were like 40 parts of the Gulf of Mexico, Drew. Where you were at, yes.
Okay.
Destin in that area, Gulf of Mexico, beautiful. But
Alabama.
Houston down to Galveston, it's just mud water. In fact, I think they said 90% of the water is feces. I mean, it's nasty.
Wait, is that an actual statistic?
Give or take.
That's disgusting. Yeah, go to the Clearwater in Pensacola or Destin.
No, Destin's beautiful. Anyway, that's I don't know. College football whip around. Bahamas Bowl. That's how we got there. Talking about beaches. Sucks to be in the Bahamas Bowl in 2023. Up next, though, we get back into the dominance in the AFC West and just how long this ride is going to continue.
Cody and Gold.
People always call us like a bleak show. The idea of you having to come on the air.
Are the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
All right, Chiefs Red half hour. Reminder coming up around 1 o'clock today. Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the linebacking group going forward with Nick Bolton being out for a couple weeks. Also, we will get his perspective on Justin Ross. We'll have an update on that during what's trending, by the way, where things stand for Chiefs wide receiver Justin Ross and the legal trouble that he currently finds himself in. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, the dominance over the last 7 years, soon to be 8 in the AFC West. We know the Patriots once won the AFC East 11 straight years, so the Chiefs are trending in that direction. The Patriots also won it 17 of 19 years, which is just wild to think about.
That's a crazy number.
So the Chiefs are going to get to 8 after this year. The question is just how much longer can the dominance continue? You look at the rest of the division right now. The Broncos seem at minimum, it doesn't mean more, but at minimum for the next 2 years are locked in and kind of screwed with the quarterback situation based on the finances and draft capital they gave up for Russ, not to mention they gave up first and second round picks for Sean Payton. The Chargers, I still think, have a very good quarterback, even if he's not elite, but are they going to have a new head coach after this year? Most likely, so a lot will be dictated by that, and they got aging players in some spots. And the Raiders, actually, in a weird way, while it's the Las Vegas Raiders, we get it, they have more flexibility than the other teams that we just discussed, though, too.
They can just burn it down and start it.
Correct. They could flip it, but that requires them making the correct decisions going forward. And the Chiefs falling down a little bit. It's not just these teams, elevating their talent.
It's either those teams getting to a 13-win team or the Chiefs falling to a 10 or 11.
And what's more likely in that?
I mean, neither. I'll put this in a gambling perspective. We're all, we're in a legal betting state, at least when I'm at work. In
Shout
the
out
Kansas
Kansas.
side. Yeah, no, I had to place all my Monday Night Football bets before I left work yesterday. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's kind of because I'm not going to drive across the state line at 7 o'clock at night just to place the bet. So I got to, and I don't want to text you because that seems absurd. A one-off bet, I might text you one of these times. But to this point, I've been able to
I'll
hold
make
off.
exceptions to you for you.
For co-hosts.
It's a little bit different, but yeah.
But let me put it in this perspective. If I were going to give you $1,000 for every correct year after this one you predicted the Chiefs to win the AFC West, you're going to draw a line wherever you want, but if you go 1 year too far, you lose it all. So if I said 100,000, you probably just take the 1 year and move on with your life. $1,000, you're probably risking. How many years into the future are you willing to go? How many thousands of dollars are you willing to try to get? I'm willing to get at least 3. Maybe 4 or 5, but I'm willing to get at least 3. The Chargers and the Broncos are multiple years away. Just look at their situations and tell me how they're not. At least multiple years away from getting to 12, 13, 14 wins, which is what it's going to take to compete with the Chiefs in the division. The Chargers, maybe you see the long shot chance where they get the right coach, things snap, they get the right draft, they spend the right money in free agency, all the things they got wrong the last couple of years, and they just hit. Okay, fine. They got enough talent on their roster. Maybe they can hang. Still going to not year 1 in the system and probably not year 2. So I'm willing to, I think, bank $3,000, just guarantee it, get myself to 11 before I'm willing to hit the curb and maybe not take the cash.
Yeah, it seems like it's on automatic in cruise control now towards 11. But I'll just point out, it's not just the competition. You're also banking on health for the next 3 years. You're banking on also that Travis
really the
Kelce,
health of Mahomes
in particular. That's who but you're also, by the time you get to year 11, if this is going, is Andy Reid and Travis Kelce all still part of the crew as well? Because that's when, if we're acting when things could differ off the course ever, it would involve Andy Reid some point not being part of the equation and or Travis Kelce. That's when, other than that, if you tell me, if you could actually say with certainty, which we can't, but if you could, that 3 years from now, the 3 of them, Reid, Mahomes, Kelce, are all still together, then how could you not say it gets to 11? The Broncos are not going to be part of the equation. The Chargers, everybody's been picking as the team to knock the Chiefs off, and they always fumble it when it comes time to being in position to be able to do that. So I think when you look at the next couple of years, the Chargers still, as weird as it sounds, probably still the biggest threat. And you can laugh at that, but that probably is the answer based off of still the quarterback they have.
They've got
roster.
hurt, but the other 2 teams don't even have quarterback figured out.
Right. So that, in 2 years from now, do the Raiders find a way? Do they draft Drake May and he turns out to be the next stud? Okay, well, that might change the equation, but that also still, even if they get near the level, that doesn't guarantee them anything. It requires the Chiefs having an off season. And other than, what you said, which is like a season-ending injury to the most valuable position.
That's the Patriots friend, by the way.
That's how it usually happens. So
when you're on this kind of run,
going to continue.
Yes.
This is going to continue in the AFC West.
They're one of 2 teams ever to win it. When they're done this year, they'll be one of 2 teams ever to win it 8 straight times, man. It's just them and the Patriots. They are in rarefied air. We talk all the time where I tell you Travis Kelce is an exception to the rule, not the rule. The Chiefs are in this regard, too. We a couple of years ago actually had this conversation, Gold, and I told you that it was going to go to 8 or 9 or 11. God, I might have said 10. Who knows? And you were like, all right, pump the brakes, which is a fair assessment at that time, because even then it was harder to know for sure that they were going to run away with it like this. But the fact that they've already locked up the 8th in a row in week 7 of the NFL season means this is not short-lived. And like we're talking about here, barring some sort of major injury to maybe one of 2 players or Andy Reid retiring, even that I don't think would make me think that it's definitely going there.
Questions would come up more at that point, understandably so.
How many thousands would you take, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think
this is getting,
I would take it to 10 years, so two
you
more.
Take $2,000?
Yeah, that's where I would go.
You'd be tempted
they're going to get to 8 here in about a month and a half. All right, they're going to get to their 8th, and then after that, I would probably stop it at 10, and then I would cash out. Not that they can't go further, but I go ahead and take my winnings and move on, just because at that point I think you're getting a little greedy. But they are certainly trending in a direction. The whole 17 and 19 thing, they got a lot of work for that. But this team, if there's any team, that's capable of doing it and is trending, nobody else has this level of dominance over a division right now. Not even close. The Niners have been great. Eagles, right now it's still a 1 or 2 year run. The Chiefs go back to Alex Smith days still.
It's not close.
With this AFC West run.
The entire Patrick Mahomes run and some Alex Smith years. Look, this show is about fairness.
Yeah, someone yesterday accused us of not reporting the facts when it came to our coworkers. So we wanted to report facts today.
I don't apologize for what we said about Carrington, and he absolutely said the words washed.
Did he?
In relation, I got played. In relation to Travis Kelce.
Course.
He was a man who had given up on Travis Kelce's health, who was ready to say he's not the same player. He was out here talking like 975 yards and 5 touchdowns would be a perfectly fine season out of Travis Kelce. He said the things he said, and he was guilty of those things. What has been unfair is the morning show's solo criticism of Carrington Harrison, ignoring their own problems.
Yeah, we dug into the archives a little bit. We remember, we were sitting around, I was like, at one point in time,
interesting.
I think there were comments made. And you're like, yeah, I think there were as well. Drew wasn't here at the time, but Drew did a little digging. He went all the way back to 2019.
It turns out that maybe he wasn't originally, although I think you can make an argument here that he's also claiming washed or near washed in this argument. Listen back to this audio from 2019 about what Bob Fesco had to say about one Travis Kelce.
I would not hesitate at all to trade Travis Kelce before the draft. Number one, he's going to be 30 in October. That's a big number right there, Josh. You hit that 30-year mark in the NFL, your skills start to diminish a little bit. He's had at least 3 surgeries that I can remember since he's come into the NFL. Missed that first year because of a surgery, had a surgery after last season, and had a surgery after this past season. He's walking around, from what I've been told by folks up in Minneapolis, in a walking boot right now up in Minneapolis. Not that the walking boot's the end of the world. Look, if somebody's willing to give you a nice return, like if you can get a second and a third for Travis Kelce, I don't think Veach would hesitate to pull the trigger on something like that. Also, Travis Kelce doesn't play well in big games. Only 2 postseason touchdowns in 6 games. He had 3 catches for 23 yards against the New England Patriots. And meanwhile, Gronk, who's now retired, was a beast in that game against the Chiefs.
In fairness, he only had Patrick Mahomes in 2 of those. One of the ones that he had Patrick Mahomes in, he put up 100 yards. The other one, he had a touchdown.
In 23 yards in the big game. Got to play big in big games. We may never see a draft this strong with tight ends at the top of the draft with 3 possible first-rounders. This may be the right time if you were looking to make a move at that position to go ahead and do that. And the Chiefs have shown they'll cut Eric Berry. They'll cut Justin Houston. They'll trade Dee Ford. They will trade guys that if they believe that they can get value back in return for those guys, or just cut guys that they no longer feel can produce at a high level in Kansas City. And that's why I say a second and third rounder back for Kelce. I think you could do that, use those picks, build some depth on defense, draft a tight end in the first round. And I'm under the impression of, which is why I never would have signed Tyreek Hill anyway, you've got Patrick Mahomes. He's that good. He makes everybody that much better.
All for the low price of giving up what could be your number 1 receiving option this year.
But you know what? Think big, win big.
That was 2019. Look, we've all had some Bad takes.
Yeah.
That one is up there, though.
Okay, so first off, he was talking about 3 tight ends in the first round. One was T.J. Hawkinson, and which in this same audio he admits is unattainable based on how high he'll be taken in the draft. The other 2 were Irv Smith Jr. and Noah Fant.
Yeah,
that was his current replacement options for Travis Kelce.
Been nothing in the league.
Second and third round? Damn, he was willing to sell cheap.
2019.
Pennies on the dollar.
Prior to the Super Bowl. That was prior to the Super Bowl.
Just real quick, I went ahead and added up a couple of numbers. In the 4 years since then, in which he turned the ripe old age of 30, Travis Kelce has obtained 4,409 yards and 36 receiving touchdowns. Good for 1,175 yards a season and 9 touchdowns on average. Wow.
You know you've started war now. Just so
what? I didn't.
Now
they're going to fight every bad take?
You know
he
that
started a Kelce war. I was just including him in this.
He went after C-Dot yesterday.
We thought in the effort of fairness,
said,
we
hey,
find this.
It's not just C-Dot talking bad about Travis Kelce and what he might actually be able to do as a pro. We said there were some comments maybe a couple years ago. We did find those. Thank you, Drew, for looking up 2019. But
Thank you for the text line for pointing it out.
You know war has been started, though. Because you know now some bad takes of ours.
What's the worst take I've ever
Some bad
had?
takes are going to be pulled up now. This is what happens. You open Pandora's box.
What's the worst
that
take I've
audio
ever had?
was pretty incredible, though, in hindsight, to listen back to.
In fairness, God, he chose a bad time because he was doing it right after they had lost in the AFC title game against the Patriots. They went on to win the Super Bowl that year, and obviously Travis Kelce has played incredible in some big games after that. They went on to win the Super Bowl that year. Travis Kelce's been an incredibly important player in 2 of their Super Bowls. Since that time, he has not. And I get it. For most players at 30 years old, production does drop off. The argument I have continued and will continue to make on this is not him. Other players, sure. At 30 years old, I would assume some sort of production dip. We weren't even, when he had said, hey, I'd walk on Tyreek. That worked, right? Walking on Tyreek was a correct decision. They won the Super Bowl the year after that. I'm not saying everybody can't have right and wrong takes. But he suggested trading a first ballot Hall of Famer. If you at any point in your career suggest trading someone who ends up being a first ballot Hall of Famer and maybe the single best player at their position, Travis Kelce, that's tough. I understand Tyreek.
Tyreek Hill got traded after that clip, a couple years after that clip. But
right
that was in
Tyreek.
reference to Travis. Because someone said it's still not as bad as a former host of this station saying Blake Bortles is the next Tom Brady. That one is still.
Yeah, okay.
That is still.
If we're ranking worst takes in
best
16
one.
sports history, that one's probably up there.
That one's still the best of the bunch. That absolutely is.
Someone's saying now, wow. Now when you look at it, Bob almost traded away Taylor Swift.
Never would have come to Kansas City if he would be in Minneapolis right now or whatever.
I don't know who they would have hypothetically traded him to at that time.
Who knows? Yeah.
I guess it was
Be in Seattle right now. I don't know.
the Lions who eventually took Hawkinson, so I guess he'd be a Detroit Lion, right? Whatever.
Yeah. Hawkinson's legit, no doubt. We've all had some terrible takes.
I'll be honest.
That one's pretty high on the list.
I would not have traded Travis Kelce in 20.
No, you wouldn't have.
And I would, you know what? I'm willing to say it. I wouldn't trade Travis Kelce now. I understand the age part. I really do. I was just looking back, what had he done at that point? He was coming off of 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons at that time. Here's the part that I think is most interesting. We can talk about the trade thing. He's talking about Travis Kelce the way Carrington is. Like the wheels were getting ready to come off. Like he wasn't calling Travis washed. He was calling him pre-washed. Like he's about to be washed. That's the way I heard that audio, right? Maybe he's not washed yet, but if you give him a year, he'll be washed and we should just get out now before. Meanwhile, in 4 consecutive years, he just had 1,000 yards in all 4 of them. He might have had a better 4-year run after this than he had in the 4 years before.
Well, and he's also added 2 Super Bowl rings since that.
I mean, just statistically, I think it might have been, let's see, the 4-year run-up before those. So, he was in the height of his career. It seemed like 4,728 yards and 27 touchdowns. So way more touchdowns and about 200 less yards over the last 4 years. Oh, wait, no. You know what? That is not including the full year this year.
Also, the whole thing about the surgery thing.
I don't remember that at all.
He had, in 2013, he had arthroscopic surgery on a knee back in 2013.
Yeah.
He had shoulder surgery in February of 2017. That's it as far as surgeries.
He also, the other part is he hasn't missed a game. So obviously that part just didn't age well. He's missed a single game now, the first game of this season, since his rookie season. So the injuries haven't really been a problem. But I feel like
do we have the Bortles audio?
You know
People
what
are
it
asking
is?
for it. Do we have that? I don't know. That we got to do a little more digging on. I don't know if we have the Blake Bortles,
I can check.
Tom Brady comparison. That's still the best one.
That one's going to be tough to beat, man.
What's the take that they could pull on you? What do you think?
I don't know. I was trying to think about it. Well, by the way, I'm assuming they're going to find it.
Yeah. Oh, again, you open Pandora's box. You open Pandora's box here.
Oh, yeah. God, what is the worst take I've had? I mean, I've had some bad ones.
Oh, we all have.
You know what I assume it? You know what it is? I'll bet it's when I said that Adalberto Mondesi could play like an MVP level player.
Oh, wait, you've had a couple with baseball recently. So that's fair. It's the Mondesi
when
one.
I was the Royals insider, I said that Mondesi had the talent to play like an MVP. By the way, now I've already called it. So if they play that clip, I won't even be embarrassed. That's the clip they're going to find. They're going to find me saying that Mondesi was an MVP level player.
Usually they're baseball. Actually, I think they're for you.
I'm more optimistic about baseball.
For you, it's the baseball ones. It's the Mondesi one. It was also saying that you thought Brady Singer was a Cy Young candidate this year.
I don't even regret that one that bad. I mean, he wasn't a Cy Young candidate, but I mean, I didn't,
Someone says, it's not really a bad take. They said I jinxed the Bolton injury. That's not a bad take. That's just you think I jinxed the Bolton injury by saying the Chiefs defense is healthy.
The 90s music take. That was even a sports
that's
take.
true. I mean, mine is
and I
trending.
haven't backed off of that.
Mine, it depends. It doesn't reach that level, but due to injury. But I said Richie James is going to have 700 yards this year.
That's going to climb up the list.
Yeah.
You were also very bullish on Kadarius Toney. Your wide receiver takes this year probably won't look great 5 years from now based on the current path, but we'll give it time.
We'll see where it goes.
It's early on that.
Yeah.
Again, this show's been right a couple of times. I said Travis Kelce would make, to this point he hasn't. We put our weight behind Creed Humphrey. That was a wise decision.
There's a couple out there.
But
now I'm thinking of more.
My bad ones.
I'm thinking of more though.
You're looking for my bad takes. That's where they go. The Mondesi one's the worst one. That's the worst one. I said he was an MVP caliber talent.
Caliber by you saying caliber, it might have saved you.
I said he could play at an MVP level this year. I think I might have said he could finish top 5 in the MVP. He didn't come anywhere close to that. It was pretty bad. It was in retrospect, my worst take. I don't know that I have a worse one than that. Can you think of a worse one for you?
A lot of it's the wide receiver. A lot of it's around the wide receivers.
Mine would be the Green Bay Packers are going to win more games than the Jets, and I mean we're halfway through, and
they might lose. They didn't even have Aaron
Zach
Rodgers.
Wilson might get more wins than Jordan Love. That's not great.
That's not a great way to go down, man. No.
Hopefully the Lions keep it up because was it you or one of you last week said that?
That was me.
Okay.
I said they were going to be the number 1 seed.
I said the Lions were the best team in the league.
That's what it was. Yes, that's what it was.
We both
and guess what?
It's just one.
In a little bit, I might be able to revert.
It's too early to say that's bad yet, though.
Call me up because I got beaten one time.
Yeah, it's one. But
you can't bury me
that
now.
one's on the. If we should make a board, actually, we should have a board in here. We can erase our weight challenge that we did from 2 years ago.
Bad takes.
I think we put ones that are like
hot takes,
nice. And then ones that are just pending. So
and
like
then we can judge them.
And we'll see.
Okay.
So right now we would put in the Lions are the best team in football. That's definitely in the pending category. It could turn out to be a horrific take, or it might be. We should have a couple of those. If I say something, you put it on the board. You're like that might end up being a terrible take, or that's a hot take. We can
like it.
Someone says if we want, we can include pulling Rob saying that Sky Moore was going to have 1,000 yards this season.
Man,
Only
that
about
one's
850 to go.
Yeah. I mean, I said the Vikings with when winning the NFC North. That was trending in a really bad direction. Suddenly,
alive.
We're getting some life out of that. We'll see. We'll see. That my
no one's ever beaten it. We'll call
NFL.
this the Blake Bortles will be Tom Brady chart. Does that seem fair? Because that's the worst take in this station's history.
100%.
So, I mean,
100%.
That's impossible to beat. Saying Blake Bortles is going to be the next Tom Brady, I mean, that's just no one will ever beat that.
I just don't
no one will ever beat that take.
Like that, I just don't get how that ever came to be. Like if right now you want to say Caleb Williams, Drew's favorite quarterback, if you want to say Caleb Williams, like, you know what? He might be as good as Patrick Mahomes one day. I think it's a bad take, but there's a lot of comparisons people have made based on style of play and things like that. Like, you can at least see how your mind might have even got you to go down that weird path. I have no idea how in a million years you would ever watch Blake Bortles play one snap of football and be like, you know what? He looks like he could be Tom Brady. Like, what?
Wild times, man. Wild times.
That's the Chiefs Red Half Hour.
Did we open ourselves up?
Yes.
To some possible
just
ridicule on this show?
Oh, I think you started something.
Yeah.
I think you started something with the morning
Yeah.
show.
There's going to be a take that they get that they dig up that you probably didn't even realize that you gave.
Well, then I've already added myself in the Mondesi one. That is definitely on the list somewhere. But, God, is there a really bad take I'm not even thinking of? We'll see. Probably.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending, a little update on where things stand with Justin Ross, Chiefs wide receiver, and what the new ceiling is for Rashee Rice right here on Cody and Gold.
Chiefs fans, it's Jawan Taylor. Don't miss.
Situation involving Chiefs wide receiver Justin Ross. He will make an appearance in court later on this afternoon around 2:30 or so. Johnson County Court, Justin Ross charged with 2 counts related to an incident yesterday, domestic battery with no priors, and criminal damage of less than $1,000. Both are misdemeanors. There was some initial reporting based off of the booking recap yesterday that suggested it was over $25,000, which would have been a much more severe charge. Not to downplay any of the details,
charges, yeah.
but that would have been a felony. These are 2 misdemeanor charges, so we'll find out more a little bit later on this afternoon. But he still hasn't had the opportunity to make bail yet, so he is behind bars currently, and he'll have an opportunity to post bail later on this afternoon, we would suspect.
Chiefs have said they have no comment at this time. Obviously, Andy Reid will be at the podium tomorrow, so will Patrick Mahomes. I assume there'll be some questions there if they haven't already.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll hear much from
spoken
them,
about that,
yeah.
but we'll see what happens next with Justin Ross. Obviously, you can look up the criminal charges online.
Yeah, the same attorney representing Justin Ross represented Willie Gay.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Obviously, it cost him a couple of games in the league the following year, obviously, as we all know. Next up on What's Trending, MLB playoffs last night. Rangers win Game 7, advance on to the World Series with a decided victory against the Houston Astros. Look, I think I speak for Vinnie, who was on here earlier, be like, yeah, it's good to see the Astros. Screw them. You know, this is the first time in 7 years that the World Series hasn't had either the Astros or the Dodgers in it. Thank God. 7 years. That's how long it's been since one of those 2 teams was not in the World Series. So at least from this end, we'll get some fresh blood. We'll get another Game 7 tonight, maybe a closer game tonight, I'm hoping, between the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. The Diamondbacks were for dead in this series. Now tied at 3 games apiece. Game 7 tonight, obviously, to see who joins the Rangers in the World Series.
Yeah, the Astros still on a ridiculous run, though. I mean, that's what's great. Like, they're not a dynasty because they didn't, we talked about here with the Chiefs and how do you get that. But
they're in the mix.
Dominance in the AL. I mean, just flat out dominance. But I'm excited, even though the Rangers also have a ridiculous payroll, and normally I like seeing smaller market teams. Still, it's still fresher, right? It's been a very long time.
Well, and I'm really kind of, and it's nothing against the Phillies. They're kind of a fun team to root for. But if the Diamondbacks get in there, it'll be 2 teams with 60 wins 2 years ago who were in the World Series. I'll be honest, even if I'm just grasping at straws for the possible hope, at least makes me think there's a possibility the Royals in a 2-year, 3-year time span can get closer to where they be. And again, all they have to be is what the Diamondbacks were. An 84-win team would get you in the hunt in the AL Central. So it always just gives me a little bit of hope for maybe the Royals down the road.
Next up on What's Trending, one player the Chiefs will not be dealing with on the Broncos side of things Sunday, depending on appeals and all that. Broncos corner Kareem Jackson, 4-game suspension after another flagged hit. He's had some dirty hits, man, this year. He got kicked out of a game before.
I saw some people in Denver trying to defend this one, like, is it shoulder versus shoulder?
Dirty hits this year. It's not just one. That's the thing.
It's a mountain.
This is actually pretty severe from the league, though. You have to go back to like the Vontaze Burfict days where that was like a 12-game suspension. Yeah. Where the league, if you are consistently having illegal plays, they have the ability to suspend you, and that's what's happening with Broncos corner/safety Kareem Jackson. So at least you don't have a headhunter out there going up against the Chiefs.
Yeah, makes me feel better, although I'm worried he'll appeal the suspension, play this week, get a Chiefs player injured. They don't give 4-game suspensions for hits very often. You have to have a reputation. This is like the 3rd hit this year, Gold, that we've talked about with Kareem Jackson. Don't you remember? We were talking about a hit he made before the last Chiefs game that we thought might get him fined or suspended, and instead it just got him fined. Next up on What's Trending, NBA opening night tonight. Gold, you got some bets in? You can do NBA futures? I got no NBA futures.
I'm not a big futures guy for the NBA just because I don't follow the NBA as much, obviously, being in Kansas City. I do have a little parlay tonight, the opening night with the Lakers and Nuggets. And I'll be watching tonight. If for those of you that are in Kansas and are betting, DraftKings has a little $5 free bet. You can just log in. A little $5 free bet for the NBA. You should definitely do that. Speaking of betting, you should also join me on Friday afternoon. I'll be at the Tanners right there by KU Med off of Rainbow. We'll be there from 3 to 6 o'clock hanging out with Visit KCK. Right? Of course, you can bet Hollywood Casino in Kansas City, Kansas. You can also bet while we're at Tanners this Friday afternoon. We'll have some T-shirts to give away. Also giving away some tickets to the K-State football game coming up against Baylor. So we'll be out there at Tanners thanks to Visit KCK.
Lastly, on What's Trending, the KC Currents Debinha is a finalist for the NWSL MVP Award. Think about how good of a season, Gold, you have to have when you were an MVP candidate for a league in which your team did not make the postseason. Obviously, Debinha, a huge signing for the KC Current, and they just added a new head coach just yesterday. Sounded like, based on Club 610 on Friday, that Casey Kerner in for a busy offseason. Maybe Dabinia could lock down an MVP award. She's obviously one of the best players in all of the NWSL.
They've got some good momentum going, don't they?
They do.
I mean, like
just as a franchise, like as an organization. Absolutely.
That is what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we'll be joined by Nate Taylor from The Athletic. Again, want to get his perspective on where things stand with Justin Ross, but also with Nick Bolton. The news yesterday, Nick Bolton going to be out for potentially 2 months due to surgery required on that dislocated wrist. We'll also discuss Rashee Rice because he is now one of the 2 players I think you lock in going into a game, Cody, in the passing game, that you can count on, that I expect, based on his performance, I expect him to be one of the most reliable guys in this office. I know he's a rookie. You can say that's a lot of pressure. He's earned it based off of his performance. His snaps keep going up. I go into the game against the Broncos on Sunday, and I feel pretty confident knowing kind of what you're going to get from Rashee Rice. We also know what you're going to get from Travis Kelce. All right, so that means if you get a third guy to help you on the passing game, last week it was MVS. Maybe this week it is MVS again. Maybe it's Noah Gray. Maybe it's Sky Moore. Who knows? But now you feel like going into a game, you got 2 receiving options that you feel confident in. So does the ceiling rise up for Rashee Rice? In my expectation, absolutely it has.
For this season and for his career, right? What's the absolute, like if I just said, what's the absolute ceiling in your mind for Rashee Rice now, right? What would you do? Fall short of maybe saying he's like a Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams type?
Yeah, look, I don't want to put a cap on the ceiling for Rice after 7 games, but most likely, I think a legitimate number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. That's what I think most likely is the case. But I think it'd be foolish for us to just automatically eliminate him from being a number 1 wide receiver. Now, is he going to be Jamar Chase? No, come on now. But can he be a number 1 wide receiver? I think it's too early to say can he not be that this early in his career. But most likely, if you're asking me to make a bet on what his career looks like, I feel confident saying he's probably
already
a number
a solid
2.
2.
Yeah.
Well, and that's it. Like if you're saying, hey, I'm already willing to pencil in solid number 2 wide receiver, well, it's a second-round pick we talked about, man. That's a good thing. I get it. You want him to just be Jordan Addison and be second in the NFL in receiving touchdowns, although he went in the first round. This is not one of those DK Metcalf, George Pickens comparisons we need to make. And Addison is in the very early beginning of his career where you wouldn't want to pencil in everything he's going to be from the high or low end of this as well. For me, I have completely changed my expectations of Rashee Rice based on just 7 games because he has proven to be incredibly reliable. And for me, maybe more important than even that, Mahomes trusts him. That might be the most important thing. I look at this like the Brady comparisons for very good reason. The best athletes on the team were not always the guys that Brady went 10 years with.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice could be a 10-year wide receiver with the Chiefs because he trusts him. The same as Edelman and Wes Welker and all of these guys. Sometimes there were more talented wide receivers. Sometimes Randy Moss shows up and he just dominates for 2 straight years. And then when he leaves, Wes Welker is still there catching 1,000 yards. To me, Rashee Rice looks like that to me.
He would be, by the way,
the guy who's just going to be here getting his yardage every year under Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't know what 4 years from now look like in terms of where he's at in contracts and all that. Just know that other than Tyreek Hill, this current regime hasn't given a second contract to any other wide receiver, right? Other than Tyreek Hill. They haven't really needed to because they haven't had nobody.
I mean, in fairness, who was worth it?
But that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. So like I'm not ready to say, like, oh, man, he's going to be the guy they're going to give an extension to. We're way, way too early for that. I have no idea. It all depends on how they draft over the next couple of years and all that.
But that's part of his ceiling to me.
He is the most likely on that path. But I don't know. They could go draft a wide receiver at pick 32 this year that we all of a sudden is a better one. You're like, well, no, you'd rather give him the money. But things are trending in a great direction. I think Rashee Rice has shown that he's someone you can count on, and I'm really excited to see what he continues to build to. We're only 7 games into this dude's career, and we're all talking like, hey, this is like he's a legitimate sure thing now, which is great.
I think that a big part of this conversation has to consistently be that it's not that he just showed up and there was nobody else to throw the ball to. It's that the Chiefs, the own internal Chiefs organization, just based on playing time, Gold, not to mention their words, based on how they used him to start the season, valued these 4 wide receivers ahead of Rashee Rice to start the season, and no longer do, by the way. MVS, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Justin Watson at least, right? We can make an argument about whether or not somebody else was on that list. They valued those 4 wide receivers as getting more playing time and more important to what they did this season, more than Rashee Rice when this season started. And now already, 7 games into the season, if I made you re-rank the wide receivers the Chiefs think are most important to their season and their success this season, this year, Rashee Rice is number 1. He leaped 4 players in 7 weeks. Like the text line saying, hey, his ceiling is Anquan Bolden. His ceiling is what Dwayne Bowe did in the NFL. And look, most of those careers, because of some of the peak of some of those careers, Anquan Bolden, obviously, we'd all sign for in a millisecond. But I don't think that those types of ceilings are out of the question. I don't think an Anquan Bolden type ceiling is out of the question. I wouldn't predict it yet, but based on the way he's played in 7 games, I don't know how you could rule it out. I don't think it'd be reasonable.
I'm just excited to see what the rest of the rookie year looks like. I mean, what we right now we think we have an idea of what what his career could be and ceilings and all that, but he hasn't even had will he maybe have the big 100-yard game? What happens when that happens? Eventually, one day he's going to have a 100-yard receiving day, Probably. And then you're going to at that point are people going to talk much bigger? Right now he's playing very well. At some point, he's probably going to have a 100-yard receiving day, and then all of a sudden, what are people going to be saying? So that's why I definitely don't want to put a cap on what he can be, but you got to love so far. He picked up the key, I really think, goes back to camp when we were in St. Joe.
Yeah.
He picked up this offense so quickly, and we all know that's not easy to do, and Sky Moore last year struggled to pick it up, and he's not the only one that's ever had that problem. But Rashee Rice right away got a grasp of the offense. That quickly built up the trust. He has earned the trust of not just Mahomes, but of Andy Reid. That's why we saw the snap count continue to go up. And not only trust, but he's actually producing. The same way earlier we talked about, hey, Kadarius Toney staying on the field. He's healthy. That's great. But where's the production? It's not there. Rashee Rice is on the field, getting more snaps, and with that, the production is going along with it. That's how you know that he's someone that you can continue to build on the rest of the season.
This is not meant to diminish Rashee Rice, but I just mentioned Jordan Addison. How awesome was that catch last night?
Yeah.
That 60-yard touchdown pass in which he completely ripped the ball away. By the way, Drew didn't even have to sweat guillotine. Yeah. He was at risk of losing in guillotine. He was only projected to survive by 3 points. And he got 30 from McCaffrey and 30 from Addison and
10 from Kittle.
Chris McCaffrey played every snap last night on offense, despite having the oblique injury. No, Jordan Addison looked fantastic. He grabbed that football away from former Chief Charvarius Ward, who did the same thing to him in the first quarter. But yeah, that was awfully impressive. Obviously, Addison went way earlier in the draft. We mentioned his name around the draft. Chiefs, we knew were going to have to trade up if they were even in that ballpark. But yeah, no, Addison looks awesome.
He went, 17, I think, is where?
Teens, yeah.
Yeah. It was in that same range where we were talking about with the Chiefs, with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Addison all kind of went in that same range. We talked a lot about it. That's not the same as Rashee Rice, who, by the way, has been a very good pick, and they didn't have to trade up in order to make that work. Right now, Rashee Rice has been very good for this team.
Well, I was going to say real quick, regarding the Rashee Rice thing, I think it's important, too, the next couple of years leading up to eventually when he is going to need a new contract, that they draft well at the wide receiver position and that they bring guys in so you can afford to pay him while also paying maybe a number 1 wide receiver rookie money for an extra 2 years before having to re-up on those guys. Just balancing the money is going to be an important thing.
All 32.
I'll start things off with the Washington Commanders. I looked it up. About a year ago at this time, one of my all 32s was that Ron Rivera should be fired for the Commanders. I'll just replicate that again today. The Commanders' offense had a good run.
It was pretty fun.
They started 2-0. They're now averaging less than 13 points per game. 2 losses to clubs that are combined 1-9. They've been outscored by 56 points. They're 1-4 during that stretch. He should not have been their head coach after last season. He might be saved by the fact that there's new ownership in terms of not getting fired midseason, but that's a mistake. Ron Rivera should be let go midseason. I know we're talking about someone's job and nobody wants to see anybody get fired, but in this case, it's the NFL. There's expectations. He's been given every opportunity. This isn't year 1 or 2.
New owner, too. So what loyalty does he have to Ron Rivera?
I think, and that's the thing. That's why Ron Rivera will not be the head coach next year of this football team. However, I wouldn't wait. That might be what the ownership group does. I wouldn't wait because I would let Eric Bieniemy be my interim head coach the rest of the year, and let's find out, on an interim basis, how does he work with this team? How does he lead? And if they get hot later on in the season and sneak in the playoffs with Eric Bieniemy,
maybe give him a short deal and let him try.
Most likely, my guess is their head coach hire is going to be outside the organization. They're going to bring in their own GM. They're going to bring in their own head coach. That's probably where this is trending. But keeping Ron Rivera all year makes no sense. It's the same repetitive thing. This is an exact replica of what has happened every single year for this team. They beat up some bad teams, and then they have on some stretches. We all saw the Bears game a couple Thursday nights ago, and that pathetic. That was all coaching. That to me was all coaching on that Thursday night game. What's concerning for Eric Bieniemy is now the offense is averaging less than 13 points per game during this run. And so, yeah, you can say, well, then should he be the interim or not? I still would rather fire Ron Rivera if I was ownership and see what EB can do the rest of the way with this football team.
The next stage for EB's career is either get this interim job and do this, but if Ron Rivera's out, he's going to have to find some other he's going to have to find some other OC job to take over, which there'll be some jobs open, certainly. But yeah, I mean, they stink, man. They are just stink. I'll be honest, one thing I did not see coming going into the NFL season. Anyone else plan on the AFC North being the best division in football?
No, man.
Anyone? Drew says he says he kind of saw it coming.
I don't know if it was the best, but it's always the most difficult division in football. Every single year, it's always hard.
And that's probably accurate. I think what surprised me is there were two teams that I straight up thought did nothing well, and they have scratched across 4-2 starts. Look, the Steelers are a paper tiger. They are not a good football team. They have a negative point differential. They only can play defense. They are the worst. They might be the worst. They're worse than the Commanders on offense. They might be the worst offense in all of football. They stink. And they're still 4-2, which means they're salty and cause you problems and are going to give you issues all year. I think the Browns might have the best defense in football, and then the Ravens have looked like maybe the second best team, maybe the third best team in the AFC with Cincinnati lurking. After all this is going to end up being the most competitive division in football all year. I think the only division you can make an argument might be better in football is what?
I think it's the AFC North, man. I think you're right.
Is there another? I was trying to look.
AFC North.
I was like, not unless you're making top-end talent arguments for like the NFC East, and you're just pretending like the Giants don't stink out.
That's the thing. You got two teams at the bottom of that division that weigh it down. The AFC North by far is the best division in football. But as I joked with you guys a day or two ago, like at the end of the day, it's we as fans puff our chest out about how tough your division is and all. It doesn't mean a damn thing.
I prefer that it's
I'd
not.
rather be in a crappy division for 10 years and win it 10 straight and win a couple Super Bowls like Brady did in the East and what the Chiefs are doing in the AFC West.
How many Super Bowl titles does that division have the last 2 decades?
Which one, sorry?
The AFC North, 3 titles?
In the last 2 decades?
In the last 2 decades.
Yeah, yes, I believe that's accurate.
3 total?
I think that's accurate.
Might be Steelers twice, Ravens twice?
We have to double check. By the way, Jordan Addison went 23 overall also, so he didn't even go in the teens. We were talking about that earlier.
But there was all that run, 21-2-3 or whatever it was.
Switching to another division, the Vikings and Gold referenced it a little bit. All of a sudden, I think the division race could still be open. And
what?
Here's the reason why. If you look at the Vikings' schedule, and I know that the Lions have some of these similar opponents as well, but and it might be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to them losing 38-6 and just no showing against the Baltimore Ravens. The Vikings' next remaining opponents for the next 6 weeks: Green Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, Denver, Chicago, and Las Vegas. I mean, they could definitely win all of those and get hot.
Yes, I'm with you that the Vikings are going to put some pressure on the Lions. However, while on paper it looks, what's been the problem for the Vikings? They can't protect the football. They cough games up usually. Like, they even tried last night. They missed that long field goal. They set up a short field for the 49ers. I don't know if I trust them. In all those games, you're right. Like, they should have a chance to win every single one. I don't know if I trust them. They were my NFC North division pick, so I'm happy that I agree with you, back in the conversation. Now, if you're trying to bet on it, well, you can get the Vikings at plus 470, Drew, if you think they're going to come back and win the NFC North. The Lions are minus 360.
Real quick, let's go through the schedule. Like, you'd mentioned how easy the
Lions have the second easiest schedule.
The Lions also play the Raiders, the Bears twice, the Packers, and the Saints 5 of the next 6 weeks. And the Chargers are the only other team in there. I'm just giving them the pass. They got a great record.
The exact updated remaining strength of schedule in the NFL, here's where it stacks up. The Detroit Lions have the 31st easiest, so the second easiest schedule remaining. The Vikings sit at, where are you? 24th. The Chiefs are 23rd, by the way.
The way that
Lions
the schedule,
have a little bit easier schedule.
And the way it shapes up too, neither of those teams have played each other. They play 2 times in the last 3 weeks of the season. So the division race could come down to week 18.
NFL love that
this season, which I think that definitely makes it interesting.
Back to mine on the All-32. Are we burying the Browns defense because they had one bad game?
No,
the
but I
text line
think
wants me to not mention them as possibly the best defense in the NFL because they were
they're
bad
one of the
against
best,
the
but I
Colts.
don't know if they're definitively the best when they did just give up 38 to the.
I said one of the best. I
Oh,
said,
okay.
I,
Well,
I
then
said
you're
I
good.
think they might be the best. I'm not willing to
but
say
that
one
to
way or
me
the
should
other.
be the example of whenever the day comes, because it's going to happen one of these games, when the Chiefs have a game, win or lose, and they give up 30-plus points, because
that
spoiler,
energy, sure.
it'll probably happen. Just understand, as we keep mentioning, unless they're the 1985 Bears, they will give up 30 points to somebody. And it doesn't mean the Chiefs' defense suddenly sucks. The same way it doesn't mean the Browns' defense suddenly sucks, but also it just is perspective on. In the NFL, even the top 5 defenses still will give up 30 points in a random game. That's all.
One of the funny things, too, real quick about the Vikings, well, we talked last year about how they were in so many one-possession games. Every single game this year has been a one-possession game for the Minnesota Vikings. So they've got to be – they might be the most frustrating team to watch in football because they are always in a tight game, and one single bad decision or crazy play can affect it. They can't win a game by double digits. They can't do it.
Yeah, that's what's scary about them. Is like they're you can't
Everything's gonna be a heart attack.
if you play game last year that they won 13 games, but they were very, very fortunate. And now we've seen regression. But I do think last night clearly was just a massive win for them against San Francisco, who it turns out, like we said with health, if the 49ers don't have a healthy Deebo Samuel, along with Trent Williams, along with Kittle, along with Christian McCaffrey, it makes Brock Purdy's job a hell of a lot more difficult, and that's exactly what played out last night. They did not have Trent Williams. They did have Christian McCaffrey and Kittle in that game, but no Deebo Samuel. And the Vikings defense actually played really, really well.
I think some of it is it's still a rookie or a second-year quarterback in Brock Purdy, and he had to go win that game last night, and he made a big mistake instead. Because, I don't know, he's a super young quarterback in less than ideal situations, like you'd mentioned, from some of the missing pieces. I will say that I'm going to hammer the biggest I told you so in like the divisional round or the NFC title game. If for some reason the 49ers are playing in that game and they don't have Christian McCaffrey, that man has a torn oblique. He played every single offensive snap in a loss last night. They don't have any chill with him. Kyle Shanahan can't help himself. And Christian McCaffrey's certainly not the type of player, friend of the show, Christian McCaffrey's not the type of player to want to sit out snaps. Man, you got to protect that man a little bit. We'd had him on the show once, Drew.
Yeah.
He came on the show in the middle of the Tyrann Mathieu Radiothon, and we asked him about whether running backs shouldn't be paid anymore. Turns out Christian McCaffrey, one of the few you should pay, was like BS.
Yeah, those
nonsense.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. But those 2 interceptions at the end of the game, tough. I mean, those were Jimmy Garoppolo fourth quarter. Like, those are the type of picks you saw from Jimmy G.
Yeah.
For that. Look, the Niners will still be fine. I don't think all of a sudden the 49ers stink.
As a matter of fact,
overreaction after 1 week.
Trent Williams, go on ahead and sit out another week. Debo, go on ahead and sit out another weekend. You can come back after the Bengals game on Sunday.
No, I'm sure you do feel that way. Boy, Cincinnati's getting a
go 49ers.
Slightly nervous about it.
Go 49ers on Sunday.
I am nervous about it because they're getting a motivated Niners team that's lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. I hope the 49ers beat up on Cincinnati. Absolutely. Keep on bearing those Bungles.
Maybe they can put it on a split screen for you because they're playing at the same time as the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll just scoreboard watch. I'll just enjoy that while the Chiefs are beating the Broncos'
Agreed.
ass on Sunday afternoon as well. You can be sweating out your Cincinnati trying to fight for a playoff spot while the Chiefs are fighting for a number 1 seed.
Don't let us get there.
Divisional dominance.
Don't let us get there.
You guys aren't factoring in the number 1 seed. I'm not worried about that.
I'm talking about the playoffs.
Might make the playoffs. Yeah.
Watch out.
Tex Hines wanted to bet you on whether or not the Chiefs give up 30 this year.
Yeah, again, we talk about the issue making bets with the text line.
I have to hold
yeah.
it in escrow.
Yeah.
Same rule applies.
Yeah.
Somebody just bailed on me.
Yeah, that's the problem is the text line never actually makes the bet. But yeah,
Money has to be held by an independent party.
The point was that the Chiefs defense is a top 2 defense in football.
Yeah.
And they're great. And just because they have one game in the future where they might give up 30 doesn't mean that they suck. That was my point. And someone then said they bet me that they won't even give up 30. I think at some point they probably will. It's the NFL. They also have the Dolphins and Philadelphia Eagles coming up in a couple weeks. And it doesn't mean that the defense stinks. Coming up next, though, the splashy trades that are happening in the NFL. Cody, I think, wants the Chiefs to be more involved in these. Plus the random question of the day right here on Cody and Gold.
Chiefs fans, it's Scott Moore.
otherwise, I should say legal-wise, unfortunately, for the Chiefs this week. Before we get to the random question of the day, I saw a lot of praise happening again yesterday for what a general manager out in Philadelphia keeps doing. He is one of the best. Howie Roseman, whenever they have a need or when you think they don't have a need, he makes sure to fix a problem that none of us even know exists yet. He's very good at that. Howie Roseman went out and traded for Kevin Byard, corner for the Tennessee Titans.
I can't believe the Titans even picked up the phone based on how the last deal between them and Philly went.
I honestly thought the Buffalo Bills should have been trying to get someone like Kevin Byard to help out their
San
secondary.
Francisco.
Maybe so, but the Bills are so banged up defensively. I always think it's interesting the reaction to Howie Roseman in particular when he makes move. Because great move, by the way. Nobody's saying that, but the Chiefs to me already showed us, Cody, what they're doing here at the midseason point. Maybe the Nick Bolton injury changes a little bit. Maybe the wide receiver stuff changes a little bit. I don't think so because based off of what we've seen now from Rashee Rice, and they already brought back McCole Hardman, I think that's the move. I think a Menahue coming back from suspension basically was like a midseason trade for this football team.
I'm just curious if Chiefs fans get jealous of it. Obviously, the Chiefs' history under Brett Veach, he has made, in my opinion, one singular big move that was an addition. Obviously, he also traded away I guess maybe Orlando Brown. That qualifies. That doesn't feel as big as the A.J. Brown deal. And it's certainly not some of these in-season deals that Howie Roseman seems to consistently be willing to make. When you go back through and you see the picks, you're like, well, it's not that much to get a player of his caliber into your roster because the Titans know they're going nowhere, and they're not going to keep paying a guy like Kevin Byard. I was just curious if Chiefs fans are interested.
Don't get antsy, man.
For me,
no need to get antsy.
For me, I don't get overly pressured in season unless I think that there is a clear deficiency in which you have no choice but to fix this problem. Right now, the only position in which you could have even made that argument would have been wide receiver. I think Rashee Rice has tempered some of that conversation at least to a flaw. You don't have a starting spot open in the offensive line you're looking to replace or the defensive line. You do assume you'll get Nick Bolton back eventually, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I don't feel that instant pressure. You had pointed out earlier the statistic that said the Chiefs are top 3 in efficiency in offense and defense and special teams for the first time for a team since 1999. Rams.
The Rams, man.
Matter of fact, of the 6 teams who have ever done it through 7 games of the season, 5 of them went on to win the Super Bowl.
Well, turns out if you're top 3 in all 3 phases, you're pretty damn good.
And look, I do think this is like 6-2. I'd say, hey, Cody, who won the Super Bowl last year? Hint, it wasn't Howie Roseman. Relax. He did make the Super Bowl, and he was the second best team in the NFL. Let's not let single game decisions impact us. If the Chiefs want to do it differently, I don't have a complaint. I will admit, occasionally I get jealous of these big swing in-season trades. But that's not just like the Eagles didn't need it in order to be a Super Bowl champion. No. What they're trying to do is solidify being a Super Bowl champion. Sometimes it gets appealing for a 4th or a 6th round pick, which is what he gave up.
I don't think people need to get antsy, though. You know what I mean? Like, Howie Roseman is a terrific general manager. But I think a lot of what you're saying is you're probably not the minority, you're probably in the majority, which is it's kind of like this fantasy football Madden mindset, though, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who doesn't love making a big trade, right?
And
big names.
Did it too. He made a couple of big in-season trades, and it got him a Super Bowl. He was just trying to secure the title.
But let's not forget, I know in hindsight, people want to look at this year, Kadarius Toney, right, and how disappointing he's been.
He was in a season
But
trade.
that was a mid-season trade that nobody really saw coming, okay? And while he didn't have 800 yards, he helped them win the Super Bowl with 2 big-time plays.
Yeah, he had some
right?
plays.
You know what I mean? So it's things like that where it's not the huge name, but it's the Mike Edwards signing in the offseason. Okay, who the hell is Mike Edwards? Let's be honest. That's what we were all saying,
he's better
right?
at those types of moves than anyone in the league.
And Mike Edwards is now a key piece of this secondary and has found a real home in Kansas City. You know, that's to me the moves that I actually think in a weird way are better. They're not costing you draft capital. They're not expensive, but they're not the sexy move at the time. But when Mike Edwards has an interception in the postseason to help them win a football game, or just the plays he's already made, or Kadarius Toney has a big punt return in the Super Bowl, even if you're not seeing the regular season production, those are moves that are still so massive for them. So yeah, props to Howie Roseman. The Eagles are a extremely well-run organization, but I don't think the Chiefs should be more aggressive or anything like that.
It's particularly tempting in a year like this because of what I talked about before the season, and we've talked about a lot, which is they are chasing immortality. I think that's what NFL Dynasty is. Because Gold, we weren't alive in the 70s. You know the Steelers and the Steel Curtain and the dynasty and the Miami Dolphins. You are aware of the dynasties that precede your life because it is immortality. And with chasing that this year, it does become more appealing. I'm not saying they have to do it, but it does become like the text line's like, hey, somebody, Marcus Spears last night on my football said they should go after Daniil Hunter. Yeah.
No, the Vikings aren't trading anybody now.
No, they're not. 2 weeks ago, you might have been
not
able to
doing
make
it
a call.
anymore. Not anymore.
But when you start looking at those, I would understand the temptation if I were Brett Veach to say, hey, if I gave up a 3rd-round pick next year and it guaranteed us immortality, 3 Super Bowls in 6 years, a 6th straight AFC title game hosting, and a 6th straight, whatever. How many Super Bowls? 4 Super Bowl appearances. You can see why this swing becomes tempting. And I think Roseman, for his sake, he won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but he also sees that Jalen Hurts' number hasn't gone way up. He's got a few years left of Kelsey before, maybe just this year left of Kelsey. And their price tags are all starting to go up. He knows that this is a huge window of opportunity, and that's when he's willing to take. He takes these both big and mini swings. A.J. Brown was obviously a huge swing. I still can't believe. If you're Tennessee,
well, that's why
you end up making one of the more lopsided trades in your franchise's history. Why the hell are you trading with him again the next year?
Well, remember, it's a different general manager. The GM that made that A.J. Brown trade got fired.
Oh,
he's out. And this is a new GM that just made the trades. That's not the same GM. But yes, it's the same organization that Philadelphia is comfortable trading with. And it's turned out very well for them with multiple trades that they've been able to make.
People are now mentioning trade for a running back. That way you've got depth if Pacheco gets hurt.
Yeah, I just don't. If they make a move, it's going to be another very minor one. I think the 3 names we've mentioned. Amenahue basically was that acquisition, even though he was signed in the offseason, and McCole Hartman clearly was that, and maybe Frank Clark, who's still out there. That everybody, last Thursday people were saying he was in town for a physical. Maybe he was. If something went bad, roster crunch. I don't know. He hasn't signed with the team yet. I'll tell you that. Maybe he does.
This has turned into CEH hate.
A lot of that on the text line.
Look,
he gets 3 carries a game. People want it to be 0. He's been not a fan favorite for quite some time. Some of it not even his fault. No. Not his fault he was drafted in the 1st round. But that's where a lot of the hate has always come. I told you I thought the offseason Super Bowl parade not showing up thing got blown way out of proportion because by all accounts, with fans, but by all accounts, he's a great teammate. Teammates love the guy.
Nobody ever complains about him. He always shows up. He does his job.
He works. Do I admit that when I see him carry the football, I'm not expecting anything good to happen? Yes, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
At least we can agree there because
it doesn't bug me as much as the week 1 where he was the starting running back and got the first carries over Pacheco. That made no sense. That pissed me off. But in the game, 3rd quarter, Pacheco's getting a breather and Clyde gets 3 carries. Look, go through most teams. The difference is his name's Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City, and we know him as the 1st-round pick. The Cowboys, their third running back gets carries occasionally. Most teams do have their 3rd running back get 8 carry in the game. It does happen.
It does.
Unless you're Christian McCaffrey and the Niners and they just wear him out.
But I don't want any more. This isn't even meant to just bury the guy. I do think all the things you said about him being a teammate and all those things are very true. I'm just I don't like watching him carry the ball anymore, so I don't want to. Right.
Fair enough.
At this point, I'm at the undrafted rookie free agent on the practice squad 4 carries.
And for those saying
because
McKinnon,
it seems like he's a net negative when he's on the field from a performance standpoint at this point.
And McKinnon, I would rather the carries go to him, but I think we know that they kind of save him until the second half of the season, and we're about to that point now. They clearly are being cautious with him. Worked out pretty well last year.
I'm just, and it's some of it is, the expectation and everything that happened, but I'm just. There was a time where I thought Clyde's biggest issue was just that he couldn't get on the field and it was an injury-related issue, and that when he was healthy, he had kind of played well, statistically. This year he's averaging 3.5 yards a carry and some of it's probably just reps. It's hard to just come in there, get 3 carries, and be good. He's not fast enough to the edge. He's just, it feels like such wasted snaps. I feel like when he's in on the drive, I'm like, okay, we're conceding a punt on this one. He gets a carry, and I'm like, oh boy, we're not getting anywhere on this one, but so be it, I guess. There's nothing inherently, I get it, wrong with giving a guy 4 snaps, and it's not the difference between winning or losing in any particular week. Where you're just tired of it? You're like, I don't know.
I get that. That's exactly what it is for people.
Well, his role's totally diminished because you picture him now as probably a guy maybe a Samaje Perine 3rd down back come in, but that's what Jerick McKinnon's for. So all of a sudden his role is whittled down to being a third string guy when obviously now, in hindsight, it doesn't look like that great of a pick, obviously. So.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Over in the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, you can chat with us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook's back, baby.
Yeah, next hour we're going to name who is going to Club 610 with us in a couple of weeks.
Correct. We're going to choose a couple of winners for Club 610. We got a huge list of people who signed up on our YouTube. We'd ask people to subscribe to do it. We'll probably give you one more opportunity. Maybe we'll choose a different platform in a few weeks once we give those people an opportunity. So there will be a Club 610 invite coming for a couple of you in the 1 o'clock hour. The question I have for you today is, what is the band you consider the band of your youth?
Yeah, music theme continues.
Hold on. Now, I bring this up because I have recently finished listening to the new Blink-182 album, which is the band I consider the band of my youth. It is the one I 1,000% listen to more than any band growing up. I listened to a lot of Blink-182. I listened to all their albums. I bought their albums when they were new. They got played on repeat. They still end up on a Spotify playlist to this day.
Yeah.
So when the band of my youth released a new album, I thought, what's the harm?
You bought it, huh?
I didn't buy it. I was listening on Spotify. They just listened to it. They sound a little older.
You're paying. You had your subscription, don't you?
They sound a little older, but,
They sound older?
Yeah, but the vibe still feels like old Blink-182. That's what I consider like the band of my youth. Like if I'm thinking of what I listen to, a
there's
huge
two that
chunk
come to
of
mind,
mine,
right?
that's the one.
Two come to mind right away. And understand that I'm 32, so keep that in mind when we're thinking of age. There's two. One is the Killers, and the other one is Green Day. Those are the two.
Green Day was on the text line is like the first answer.
Yeah. So for me, Green Day and the Killers are probably the two that I listen to quite a bit. I haven't listened to either in a very long time. But the Killers for a while, man, that was
got a lot of play?
That was getting circulated quite a bit. Yeah.
I was going to say Green Day as well. So that was probably the band that I listened to the most.
Yeah, Green Day really covering some distance here. Yeah. Because like the older Green Day would have been closer to like my age generation. We got Drew 10, 12 years.
I thought you were going to have a different answer.
Got Green Day.
I thought you were going to have a different answer. Obviously, you could tell usually the person's age on the text line based off of the band. Like some people were mentioning Linkin Park. I guess there was a lot of Linkin Park that I listened to as well.
I listened to some Linkin Park.
Linkin Park was certainly part of the playlist.
Blink-182 had the longer run. When I was in middle school, I listened to way more like hard rock. Like I listened to Korn and Limp Bizkit and Linkin. Like I listened to all that stuff during that run. My first concert was Korn, Limp Bizkit, Ice Cube, and Rammstein.
Really?
Nice.
The Family Values
Where was
tour.
that at?
1998 at Kemper Arena.
Kemper, man. Drew doesn't even know about Kemper.
I do not.
It doesn't.
No reason to know much about it anymore.
Hy-Vee Arena is what you do.
It's now Hy-Vee Arena. It was at the time the only arena that we had was Kemper Arena, and used to host Big 12 tournaments and
Cashed Out Gaming on Twitch is mentioning 311. Over on YouTube, we've got, he mentioned Sum 41. Jess on YouTube mentioning 311. 311, that feels like it covers a big span for people too. Someone said Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots. I think if you're like just my age or a little older than me, Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, those are going to be really, really common. And then you can see like for a different generation, Foreigners mentioned in here.
Is Black Eyed Peas
band, is this Pete?
A band? Is Black Eyed Peas a band? Because somebody mentioned that.
What else would they be?
I don't even.
I'll say this.
I don't consider them a band.
Culture didn't exist when their big hit came out.
I almost consider them.
That song still gets played.
I almost consider them a group because I listen to Black Eyed Peas all the time, but I don't know if I consider them a band.
They're a musical group.
I'd give you a solo artist for the point of this question.
A group, I think, is
like if John Mayer's your answer for this.
So really, it's really your favorite artist. Then really is what you're asking. You just said band because Drew, you're probably right. It's because Black Eyed Peas is a group of rappers, right? It's not a band per se. But you just meant what was the favorite group essentially? Or artists that you listened to as a kid or growing up.
That changes my answer totally because my band side of things is not. I'm not.
Okay, so what's your artist side?
Oh my goodness. I mean, where do we start? I think Jay-Z is just the guy that I would listen to all the time.
I listen to a lot of Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is great.
Eminem probably in that run as well.
Eminem just turned like 53 or something I saw this week.
Warm-up songs too, 50 Cent.
51. He just turned
50 Cent's another good one that I listened to.
Last week, Eminem turned 51 years old.
You can't go wrong with any.
Nickelback getting a lot of mention here. Was it Spec?
Hey, do you know where Eminem was born, Drew?
Detroit, Michigan?
No, born.
Oh, no, I would not know that.
Where Chiefs training camp is, St. Joseph, Missouri. Born. Didn't really hang out there, but born.
He doesn't claim there.
8 Mile, obviously, and everything to try to get that. But no, he was born in St. Joe.
That was
Do you think he's ever claimed St. Joe?
No.
Once in his life?
Doubt it.
Again, the movie was called 8 Mile. and it was all about the 8 Mile up in Detroit or whatever. So, no. But he was born in St. Joe.
By youth, do you mean like 10 to 17? Is that the range you're going from?
I would say so, yeah. Anything under the age of 18. What had the biggest run in your house? Probably middle school through the rest of high school would be the answer. That still gets played now, probably for realistic. Creed getting a mention in there. By the way, they're having what a run.
Kirk Cousins mentioned again last night.
I know.
Again.
And the Rangers keep playing it. Now they're on the way to the
Kirk
World
Cousins
Series.
said that the guys in the locker room keep playing just higher from Creed. He's like, they have a full catalog, and he's like, they keep playing higher. And that's the song, and they're winning football games, so Kirk Cousins is fine with it.
Did you also hear him last night after the game was done? Justin Jefferson comes up, and he goes, I think I need to give me one of those, and he was pointing at his grill.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk Cousins the grill.
Well, we all remember last year, right? The airplane video where Kirk Cousins' shirt is off, and he's got the chain, and he's dancing. That went viral last year. That was a big thing.
Text line's giving me a hard time because I don't have a specific answer because I don't have a
You've
go-to.
given a lot of answers.
I don't have a go-to.
He's given us 5 different
I know.
artists.
16.
I know. I mean, if you, I can run down the list of names if you want, but there was never a person where if they dropped an album up until I heard Logic, and that was when I was 19, so we're already past the youth
So
stage
now we got
at that
Logic
point.
mentioned. We added another name to this.
That's
If
the
there's a
second run.
if there's a
Logic.
go-to, it is Logic for me. But if we're talking about youth, Jay-Z, Kanye West is in. Kanye West was totally a go-to in my youth. Jay-Z, Kanye West.
That goes back to our conversation about whether or not you have to admit someone's a horrible person before you.
Yes,
listen to their music.
I almost played something today. Almost. I saw that I was running through, since it's the NBA season starting tonight, there was running through the Space Jam soundtrack, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, I could play
I
that.
love the
but
Space Jam
I don't think-
soundtrack. I've told you about that, but I love the Space Jam soundtrack.
I would have had to give the precursor ahead of time. And with Wiz Khalifa as well. Thank you for pointing that out on the text
True.
line. That was...
Man, you named like all of them are good answers.
I never had a go-to.
But yeah,
clearly.
I'd say so.
Oh, someone says the Fray. Yeah, that was definitely listened to a little bit.
Whenever you've asked a music question, I'm always
song.
like,
That's it. Yeah.
you're putting me on the spot way too much, and I am not I'm going to this. Like,
How to Save a Life, the Fray was one of their popular ones.
I've heard of some of these, but I've never
Found Me.
listened to their music. Like Alice in Chains, I've never listened to one song in my lifetime. Soundgarden, I don't think I've ever listened to one song from them, or Pearl Jam. Never listened to Pearl Jam.
Look, I got to avoid all those bands, as that gets me back in trouble with my 90s
Cody
music take.
says
And I am
90s
not-
music sucks.
Drew just hasn't listened to it.
It was a terrible take. He once said 90s music sucks, and
I said except for
Exactly.
rap.
Yeah,
I said except for rap. I gave it a pass.
There's a 90s rap run that's amazing.
You just listed 3 90s bands you've never even heard of. Those are essentially the bands I'm trashing in this comparison.
As a matter of fact, I might be playing a 90s song for Nate Taylor coming in because he said this is his favorite artist.
Is it any of the 17 artists you just listed?
No, it's actually not. It's another one who I liked. Nas.
Oh, man. Guns N' Roses is getting mentioned. There's a lot of good answers. I listened to a lot of and after I listened to hard rock stuff, it was a lot of punk. Just a lot of punk music there for a while and rap.
Coldplay's good too. You know what?
That was a lot of people.
If there's a band, a true band from my childhood, Coldplay is the band. There we go. A Tribe Called Quest is also
Someone
great
says
as
that
well.
90s music sucks should go on the board. We decided we're going to erase this whiteboard that has our weights on it from a weight challenge we did a couple years ago. It's just going to have
Full of takes.
hot takes, and it's going to have some that are pending that could turn into hot takes very likely, already are hot takes, or because you don't always know they're a hot take at the time.
You need to start giving me a day notice for these random questions with music. I know that Golden mentioned it, and
I do agree
let me
with
think
that.
about it. So
I do agree because
I always got to give you notice for.
Well, for
you
music,
just think on the spot.
Because for music, it would probably benefit the
There's been
segment.
way too much. He named 17
Wow.
bands.
Exactly.
The
That's
last
the
time I
reason
gave him
why.
the music one, he cut 4 clips.
That's fair. Drew, you got to whittle it down. I do think you got to give us notice on music so I can pull a cut from something from the Killers or whatever. But yeah, Drew, you got to do one. We did the Disney songs, and yet you gave us 4 or 5 of them.
It's because you took one and
The Aristocats?
Yes, I literally said Aristocats while you were not in the room, and then you came in and said I'm playing it, and I was like, all right.
You just said it yourself. I wasn't in the room. I'm supposed to read your mind that you like this song.
The cat's the only cat who knows how to swim.
Everybody wants to be a cat.
That's my random question of the
Sorry for letting you guys down, but I like a lot of artists, so obviously.
Now wait, when you drive home after the show, what's, I guess because we've talked, Cody will just have it silent sometimes, it sounds like. But like, what?
No, I said it's the opposite. I said I can't stand silence. If anybody knows me, it's silence is my.
Are you listening to what are you listening to on the drive home then?
But right now, Kid Cudi's got a new song that I haven't listened to yet. Drake, his album is in the playlist.
So again, just not one thing.
Rod Wave. No, I do not listen to one thing. I listen to a bunch.
I usually do like mix listed.
I need to see how many. Does Apple Music actually tell you how many songs you have in your library? Like at the bottom, it does not. Okay.
I don't know.
I bet you I have at least like 8,000 songs.
Those end of the year like Spotify playlist, mine is wrecked with kids' music.
Oh,
I bet.
Dude, it's not even close. It'd be like,
I told you,
Cody listened to Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration 59 times this year. You're like, yeah.
I'm in the minority on this, unless it's on a road trip, and I have Spotify and Apple Music, but like, I will just listen to the radio on a normal drive. Like, so when I'm driving home from work, it's like a 15, 20-minute drive. I'll just have, pick your favorite radio station.
96.5 or The Point. Just listen to what's in this building. Be smart about it.
Yeah, 106.5 The Wolf. I'll just listen to that. I might pop in and see what Carrington's talking about real quick, but that's it. Most of the time, it's just on the radio. I don't really hook up Spotify in my car unless I'm on a longer drive. Like if I know I'm going to drive over an hour somewhere, which is not often.
I just go to Spotify.
Yeah.
I usually try to choose the music I'm going to listen to before I get in the car, both to and from.
Oh, you like plan ahead then?
Interesting.
Okay.
Yep. Be like, this is a playlist for the day. Pop it on.
I do have a playlist for instance, I'm going to Wisconsin in November. I have a playlist for when I go on long drives. I have a shuffled list, yeah.
That makes plenty of sense. All right, coming up next, we get right back into the Chiefs. Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in studio. We'll ask him about Rashee Rice and what his ceiling is for him, plus what he makes of where things stand with Justin Ross next here on Cody and Gold.
There's Kelce to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones, letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Made to shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers. We met later in life. I liked his dimples.
Both of our spouses have passed away, and we never expected to remarry.
That's the funny thing about love. It has its own agenda.
I wanted to get her a ring that celebrated our future, but didn't ignore our past.
I just wanted a party.
Shane Company helped me create the perfect ring. The center stone for us, and the two side stones for our past loves.
Capture your love story with a unique engagement ring. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
Well, I want to tell you about another winner. It's my friends at Window World. They are ranked #1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They're also the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you know the Chiefs are a winner. And Window World, they have windows that are one of 2 windows that are locked in with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. In just over 20 years of business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. Plus, your windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all your parts, glass break, and labor. It also uses a double-strength glass. It gives it that extra strength that is not commonly used in your normal replacement windows. They are giving an incredible deal right now. They are offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 18 months, that's a year and a half. So do me this favor. Give them a call for a free home estimate. Check out the website, and they can show you how they are simply the best for less. Fall is right around the corner. You know winter's going to be here before you know it. I want you to get ready, and the best way to do that is with my friends at Window World.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be present in a state where lawful to wager. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 or visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelpma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
Well, we're moving along in the NFL season, and let me tell you, right now, all customers can still get that no-sweat same-game parlay for Thursday Night Football. And we got a great one coming up. Place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's action between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. And you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout. So build your own or choose from one of the popular pre-built same-game parlays that's right there on the FanDuel top-rated sportsbook app. So visit FanDuel.com, use my promo code CDOT, and don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook app. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and also 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. Refund issued a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit KSGamblingHelp.com.
We have James and Josiah from American Topsoil. Guys, what month is best for planting new grass?
Any month that ends in R. Laying down fresh soil before seeding is the best way to get ahead of the game. Our rich topsoil is great for leveling yards, and our pulverized soil creates a perfect seed bed for new grass.
So how do I know how much soil I need?
Our Power Wheelbarrow service assures that our customers are getting the exact amount of soil they need, exactly where they need it, and that's all they'll pay for.
How can I set up my delivery with American Topsoil?
Visit AmericanTopsoil.com or give us a call at 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, family owned and operated with more than 30 years, delivering great topsoil with their hassle-free Power Wheelbarrow service. Call 913-888-SOIL. That's 913-888-SOIL. Or online at AmericanTopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service, American Topsoil.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
It's time for some football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. Call or go to ShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, now with 3 locations, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now carry out in the Crossroads.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different how? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
Hey, this is Trent McDuffie, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
One o'clock hour, Cody and Gold. We'll be joined by Nate Taylor from The Athletic in just a couple of minutes. He'll make his way in studio. Looking forward to getting his perspective on what this defense does without Nick Bolton. We saw a glimpse of that for a couple weeks. Drew Tranquill certainly has stepped up in a big way, but this is going to be a much longer-term injury, with Tom Pelissero reporting that it could be as much as 2 months before Nick Bolton is back in the fold with the Chiefs. We'll also talk to Nate about where things are at right now with Justin Ross in legal proceedings. Again, a court appearance going to happen this afternoon around 2:30 or so in relation to 2 charges, both misdemeanors, but one is domestic battery. And so if you're the Chiefs right now, no comment from the Chiefs. Also, the attorney for Justin Ross has no comment at this time. That's where things stand, and we'll see. Presumably, he'll post bail this afternoon, assuming that's offered during the court appearance. And from there, Andy Reid will speak tomorrow, as he does each and every Wednesday. Nate Taylor from The Athletic we'll give him a second. We'll get his camera set up as well. I think we got a camera on him. He's ready to roll, I think. He's got the KC Current gear on, too.
What's wrong with that?
No, as I said, I think he's ready to roll. He's got the good. I like the polo. I don't know if he was given that or what, because that thing's nice.
Like a quarter zip. Gold is
That's
a big fan of a quarter zip.
I love
you
quarter
and Chris
zip.
Collinsworth
Quarter zips are nice,
apparently
man.
share that desire for
Quarter
clothing
zips
choice.
are nice. Quarter zips are a really nice look. I really dig the quarter zip. I like what you got going on.
Thank you. I did purchase this. I've given a lot of money to the Kansas City Current.
They got good colors.
This is my club, guys. With everything that is, we have a new coach, new manager.
That's right.
I drove by the new stadium.
It's coming along.
It's coming along really nicely. The ladies didn't have as good of a season as I thought they would, but nothing like a good rebound for, the next year, 2024.
You gearing up for Germany already? I know you got to go to Denver first. I don't know if you're making your way out there, but Germany.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating 17-day stretch in my life because I love Denver. I have friends there. Obviously, it's an annual trip. And then, trying to be mindful of Germany and how unique that's going to be. I've been to London. That's the only European place that I've been to before. But, there's discussions about maybe you should go to Amsterdam. And I'm like, maybe I should just stay in Germany.
Nate Taylor, red light district.
Just gonna hang out a little longer.
I know what they say about Amsterdam, and I do have a job to do as well. It's great that it's attached to the bye week. So the Chiefs and the Dolphins did the wise thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look forward to sharing many adventures.
Yeah, you brought the bye week. I didn't realize this until I was watching the London games, but I don't know if this is just this year or last year, but they give teams now the choice. Before you automatically always had a bye after these international games.
Mm-hmm.
And now the team actually gets a choice before the schedule comes out.
Yes.
That's interesting to me. And the Chiefs and Dolphins chose the bye week after. I think it's very smart. But
why would you not choose
who was it? It was the Ravens. The Ravens who won against the Titans in London said, no, we'll just go right in and play the next week.
Now, I love all of this because it's so new league rules kind of thing. Your team's supposed to be strategic about all this, which does equate to wins and losses. For instance, the Bills played in London on a turf that may have disrupted their season in a way that we'll look back on. They chose to have a home game similar to the Ravens, right? So one of the new things now you're seeing is, okay, we'll play in London, but if we're an East Coast team, we're gonna get that home game, right? We ain't traveling a second time in essentially 10 days going somewhere else. No team is gonna go from London back to their home facility and then go west, right? So I thought the Bills were strategic, and they were not only are we going to play home, but we're not playing anybody in our division. We're not playing anybody in the conference.
Interesting. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to request that?
You are allowed to make some requests.
Okay. I think the Chiefs had some say in this. They didn't want to.
Yes. So you can make you can give your argument to the league, or your pitch, I should say, and the league, how they structure the schedule. They are trying to maximize, obviously, the TV product. So maybe those two things align. Maybe those two things don't align. Hey, it's the Giants. It's both New York teams. It's an easy sell to NBC. Okay, great. That works. If you're Baltimore, it's a little bit weird because they didn't get a late afternoon kick either. They went right from coming back to London, having a noon game or 1 o'clock game against the Detroit Lions. But again, not a conference opponent, not a divisional opponent. So the least important game as you would rank them on your schedule when considering everything.
When you look at where the Chiefs are right now, at least from the defensive line perspective, are we thinking they're actually going to make this Frank Clark move? So last Thursday, it's, hey, he's coming in for a workout. Clark's talking about mountains are cool, but peace. It seemed like everything was heading towards that. I think you probably have more inside information on this. My thought is, why are they in a rush? And sorry, Clark, it's cool you want to be here, but we're not in a hurry yet. So if you want to be here, you're just going to have to wait a minute.
Now, how can I do this? The best part in all of this is both parties understand that they need one another. The Chiefs may not say it as much, but like, hey, a pass rusher who knows the system, who's been massively productive in the postseason, who makes our best defensive player happy, makes
that ain't bad.
We've put some feet like, why the wind blowing? Oh well, I think most Chiefs fans want us to do this. Okay, all right, well, we put a little trial balloon out there, saw how people viewed it, and then, of course, to your point, Cody, they didn't have to do it immediately. I think things got a bit complicated when they made the trade for McCole Hardman, and it looks like a wise move because they did it earlier than maybe they even had to, right?
Sure.
Like they did it ahead of the deadline, which of course is Halloween this year. So, okay, we're bringing back Charles Omenihu from suspension. We're trading for McCole Hardman. It's a number situation. They, in essence, chose to lose Keandre Coburn, who they drafted in the 6th round last year, who I thought was going to be a real rotational player. So that's sort of the risk. And, hey, let's just get through October, and we'll see how it goes. You'll stay healthy. You can hang out with the guys after practice. If you want to meet up with the guys on their Thursday night, little dinners.
You want to get together in the cul-de-sac with your guys?
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Like, we're not opposed to it. Just do right by us. We'll do right by you. Now, also, if someone were to get hurt, they'd have to go to IR. Maybe your roster spot would open up earlier, sooner rather than later, and then maybe that could expedite things.
Does the different position, I understand, but does the Nick Bolton injury, and reports are 2 months potentially for this, does that impact this at all, or are those two separate things for you?
I think they could potentially impact one another. The team may be having discussions today about whether or not they even want to. Now, look, the Chiefs don't have a ton of money in terms of the trade market right now. So, you could make some calls about maybe a rotational type linebacker if you want to make a call. But look, you have Jack Cochran, you have Leo Chenal. It's just one player at the position right now. I know they made the trade for McCole Hardman in the event after Justin Watson went down, but I think Justin Watson has a chance to be ready for the game in Germany against the Miami Dolphins, which is why he wasn't put on IR in the first place, right?
Sure.
And of course, he gets the benefit of if you're going to miss 3 to 4 games, you get the bye week after that anyway if things don't go as fast in terms of the recovery. When it comes to Nick Bolton, you can look at the schedule and you can say, well, that's at least going to be 6-7 weeks. So the one that I would tell Chiefs fans to sort of schedule for Nick Bolton's return is December 18th on Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. That is sort of his target date, sort of best case scenario. If that doesn't happen, then obviously he can come back against the Raiders on Christmas Day. When you have a veteran who is willing to take basically the league minimum, who's probably even comfortable being put on the practice squad to eventually be elevated at some point, that's okay. We all know how Andy Reid sort of does this thing. But if they were to sign Frank Clark, let's say tomorrow, right, as they are making the corresponding move to place Nick Bolton on IR, then there's no guarantee to me that Frank Clark would be in uniform Sunday against his former team in the Denver Broncos. It would still take a little bit more time.
That'd be fun, though.
But it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course it would be.
What McCole Hardman did in Sunday's game is really impressive because his first practice, I believe, was Thursday, Friday, walkthroughs, team meetings, play on Sunday, and not be a negative. He was actually a positive. So what he did is, I think sort of the rarity versus what most guys do when they come onto a new team, even if they've been there before.
I think McCole highlights something that we were talking about with Rashee Rice that is really important, which is McCole Hardman, turns out, is more valuable here than anywhere else. And the reason why Demarcus Robinson was more valuable here than anywhere else is because Patrick Mahomes trusts him.
Mm-hmm.
That is the number one thing with a bullet that I love the most about Rashee Rice here in the early going is Mahomes will actually throw him the football.
Yeah.
He didn't throw it to Sky. Sky will just run around. It might get a pass or two. But on an important third down and the very few handful of snaps McCole Hardman got, he went to McCole Hardman.
Yep.
He still trusted him to do it. Obviously, Tobe trusts him. He's done nothing but compliment him in his return game. But Mahomes does. I think that's why he was a 500-yard receiver really consistently the entire time he was here.
Yeah, and the best part for Rashee Rice is not only does he understand zones, but you could tell looking at the All-22, and this is sort of not as easy to communicate, but there are certain things where, Kelsey will understand that the defender either made a mistake and that will manipulate. Okay, so I can manipulate him now with my own route, even though it's not technically on paper. And I think that's just so hard to do, especially for younger players, right? Travis Kelsey's in year 11 in the same offense. So it's like the dude knows.
We're good, yeah.
The dude knows every trick, every rule break, every way he can bend it. I'm actually trying to put together something that, again, explains it really well at a high level. But for Rashee Rice to do the same things in zone where he's like, I can just sit right here in the end zone. I don't have to overthink or I don't have to speed myself up just because my quarterback still has the ball and is still kind of in the pocket, but kind of not. He's not in his normal drop at this point. But I see where all the defenders are. I see where I am. I've made myself available, and now I just stay here. I don't know if Sky Moore does that in the back of the end zone. I don't know if, a lot of players do it, especially the first half as their rookie year, to just stay in proper place. Mahomes has a dynamite of an arm, so he's going to get it there. And then to have the toughness to sort of do something with the ball in his hands. That is what's impressive to me. And for McCole, the best play that McCole had in the game is not his 50-yard punt return. That is awesome.
That was a pretty big play.
It's a pretty big play. But I think the most important play for the course of the season is the 3rd and 6. I recognize the coverage. I know they're blitzing. I know exactly what Pat wants me to do here. And I know the down and distance, and I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to run my route short and then get tackled for a 4-yard gain or a 5-yard gain and put the coaching staff in a bit of a bind as to whether or not they want to go for it or we just kick a field goal. His route, and even Patrick said his route in the red zone in the first half was actually pretty good because he was adjusting based on the cornerback, sort of shading towards Kelsey's side. So, hey, I should be here in the window. But what we now see is an offense that makes more sense to me. I know exactly what guys are going to do. The only question mark is is Kadarius Toney going to stay on the field, and is he going to have, maybe a more traditional receiver role now because McCole can do all that pre-snap motion stuff and jet sweeps and things of that nature. But you know what Rashee Rice is? You know that, Justin Watson, when he comes back, is going to be another deep threat for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And then, of course, Travis Kelsey is going to open up things now for guys who are just little by little improving as the season goes along.
I think we want to ask you a follow about Kadarius Toney in a minute, but just real quick, Nate, have you at any point ever said two of the following sentences about Travis Kelsey? Have you ever suggested the Chiefs trade Travis Kelsey for a 2nd and 3rd round pick? Or have you ever suggested that Travis Kelsey is washed?
I've been on record saying that I believe in my heart that this is the last great year of Travis Kelsey.
What?
Nate!
Under what what indicates that other than his continued dominance of this league?
He's 34. And when you get
to maybe he played this clip of Bob Fesco talking about this when he was 30. He's 30.
He's right, but he's 34 going on 35 now. And the production he's starting to get to rarefied and unprecedented.
He's already there, honestly, in my opinion, but yeah.
And it's partly, again, why I'm sort of working on this story right now is how is he one of the most unique route runners, but he's still the most productive tight end we've seen at this age, not named Tony Gonzalez. And the way Tony Gonzalez played football was entirely different than what Travis Kelsey's doing right now, regardless of the quarterback.
I don't think his skill set ages as much as it does in other positions. His skill set is about finding space. Not finding space because he's the fastest person on the planet. Finding space because he's better than anyone in the league about finding space.
One of the best things about Travis Kelsey is he will play through anything, but eventually that catches up to you. And there's in my mind, it's still remarkable and mesmerizing to realize that he and Rob Gronkowski are the same age, and Rob Gronkowski hasn't played football in almost
4 years ago.
2 years.
Yeah, Gronk got in like a car accident every single football game, though. He was so beat up.
And that's one thing that I want to get Kelsey on, but like I know that he knows that I know that like you don't want to give away all your secrets. Watch Kelsey when he catches the ball. He has an awareness of where everybody is, and even on the I just smoked. Was it Asante Samuel?
Yeah.
On the deep cross, so. I just smoked this kid. I ain't doing any moves.
He's getting out of
I'm gonna force you to tackle me. I'm gonna make you do your job, but I'm not gonna do too. Like I know exactly when to get down. I know how to like land on my body correctly. But eventually, like the sport is tough on your body, and it's gonna catch up. And if he loses even a step or two more, which is possible in age 35, 36 territory, he's going to have to be even more precise than he is already now with the offense and obviously how to run his routes, accordingly.
We got Nate Taylor from The Athletic hanging out with us in studio here on 610 Sports Radio. You mentioned Kadarius Toney a couple minutes ago. We were discussing how we heard Andy Reid yesterday. I'm curious how you did when Andy was saying, hey, isn't that great? Tony's stacking these games together. We're like, wait. Hold on a second.
Compliment. That was practically an insult.
Like, look, yes, part of the scenario for Kadarius Toney this year, we all acknowledged, stay healthy, but we all thought with that production would come along. It's great for him personally that he's healthy. I'm very happy for him that he's been healthy, we think, all right? He's not on the injury report or anything like that, but
right.
And I know Andy's never going to come out and be like, yeah, we're super disappointed in this guy. I know that's not going to happen.
Right.
That might be his way of doing it. I don't know. Is the bar that low now where it's like, well, he's playing football
and
games?
He's nice. He said he was nice. Great guy.
He is smart.
I think
he's still a great guy.
I still think he's going to help them win a football game at some point this year. Heck, last year we saw in the Super Bowl what he did. Yeah. So I have no doubt that will happen. But the number one wide receiver stuff, now we're just like happy he's on the field?
So I asked that question to Andy.
Okay, that was you. Okay.
It was me. I asked the question to Andy Reid because I know that the calendar tells me that in 3 days is the 1-year anniversary of the trade. And I can give you a little preview, ladies and gentlemen. We will have
Will there be something at The Athletic?
A recap of the entire year for The Athletic. Some might say the Giants have already won the trade.
I'd say the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They already won the trade, but point taken.
It's a great back and forth. Yeah. And so me and my gal, Charlotte Carroll, who covers the Giants for The Athletic, we're putting, something together. We're like, you can have this back and forth about like, but the Giants technically have the better skill position player. Now, does he get the ball? No, because the offensive line is terrible, and Daniel Jones is hurt, and they don't have any other weapons. I guess they have like Slayton, but like
he's fine.
Yeah, but like eventually that trade led them to get Darren Waller. He is a just full stop better football player than Kadarius Toney right now.
Yeah.
With that said, they made the trade for essentially 1 day. And it just happened.
And it paid off.
And it just happened to be the Super Bowl.
This is why I'm on the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. People be like, oh, they didn't do a good job with that trade. I'm like, they gave him a first-round pick for a Super Bowl. No offense. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And give me the opportunity to tell you, hey, Cody, can the Chiefs give up next year's first-round pick and I can guarantee him a Super Bowl this year?
Yes.
You can have it.
Yes.
I don't want it all that bad for that price.
So the beautiful part in all of this is he had the knee injury to start training camp, that being Kadarius Toney. Then he had the turf toe, or the sprained toe, I guess you could say, either right before the Jets game or right after the Jets game. So they sort of cooled him down, and now he's stacking games. I love it when Andy Reid, the NFL's version of a grandpa, says he's just stacking days out there, guys. It's just stacking days, baby.
Yeah.
Coach has all the phrases down. So he's trying his best to be complimentary of a guy who is doing something that he has not done yet in his career, which is one of the things I'll argue is that like he's actually shown a level of toughness, a level of dedication and sort of professionalism to his job than he has shown at any point previously in his career. But y'all said he was a number one receiver.
That's the thing. That was,
and he not running number one receiver routes.
He's running 25%.
Like he's not even running real routes yet. Like, they give him like 2 to 3 routes that are like, oh, that's sophisticated and like it's for you. Like, but MVS is running more
Do you
like
think
number
it's-
one receiver.
What about
type routes.
Skyman? Who's running more out of those two? Because I feel like if you asked internally, who are you more disappointed in, I'd be curious to know the answer.
I think it's still Kadarius Toney because he has more talent.
Yeah.
And he has
That's
the
what I was-
ability to make guys miss in the open field.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, do we think it's a talent thing for Toney, or does he have a good grasp of the offense, do you think?
No, I think he does.
Okay.
I really think he does. I mean, one thing that I also think people need to realize is Kadarius Toney's best game as a Chief was literally his second game as a Chief, which again is almost a year ago when they played the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that was a game where I was like, they've done it again. Like,
They fleeced the league.
Oh my God!
I felt real stupid for a second because my initial take on air was, don't get it, don't really see it, and like again, part of my problem is that you can have all the talent in the world, but he's been on the field and the talent hasn't equated to the production yet. So I just kind of wanted to wait to see it. I never thought it'd be like this, Nate.
Neither did the Chiefs, and I'm sure neither did Kadarius Toney. Do you know how many all-purpose yards Kadarius Toney has in a single game as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs? Because it is lower than you think.
In a single game, all-purpose?
His best?
Yeah, his best.
40 yards, 50 yards. Can't be more than that. He had 100. He has 102 yards receiving this year. He had like 170 last year. I mean, maybe 40, including a rushing number.
Now he had 71 yards against the Denver Broncos last year on basically New Year's Day. That was his best receiving day. That
counts for a quarter of his total.
Right. As I do, again, I don't know what this says about the coaching staff, what this says about the collection of weapons around him. But again, in that Jacksonville game, he had 4 receptions for 57 yards. He had 2 really impressive sort of end-around jet sweep type plays for 33 yards. That is 90 yards. That is the most yards he's had in a single game. 90 all-purpose and a touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars in his second game as a Kansas City Chief. Man. He has yet to replicate that in any way really since then. Now, he was good in the playoff game against Jacksonville. You have to remember Chad Henne being in the game, obviously Patrick Mahomes being limited with the ankle injury. But you could probably say that was his last great game other than what he did in the Super Bowl.
Before we let you go, obviously, legal situation played out right now involving Justin Ross. He has a court appearance a little over an hour from now. He's been charged with 2 counts related to an incident yesterday, domestic battery and criminal damage less than $1,000. The court appearance at 2:30, maybe learn a little bit more at that point in time. But from a football perspective, have you heard anything yet just in terms of that? Or is this one of those where truly they're just going to kind of just see how this plays out over the next week?
Yeah, they'll see how it goes. We're going to learn more information here in later this afternoon. I've reached out to everyone, sort of connected to Justin Ross. It's obviously the team's aware of it. They have in the past, and obviously it's tough because like you see enough comparables to the Willie Gay incident a few years ago. But I would also highly recommend that everybody realize that each domestic violence situation,
1,000%.
circumstance is completely its own sort of thing. So,
has the same attorney as Willie Gay had for that too, by the way.
Same district
Yep.
or same area.
Yeah.
So that is, to me, that makes sense actually. But what I would try to remind people is, you be in that room. Like, I don't know what Justin Ross did. We have a police report to go on. We are going to learn more today in the legal process, right? But you be in that room and tell me if you're not affected or scared or threatened, So even though it might not appear physical, there's still more to this that is just unbecoming, honestly. And it's just really unfortunate because this happens all the time, and it's obviously more notable because it involves a football player. But as I try to report these things and be more mindful myself, I just like to ask the audience to just like put yourself in that room from the other side when it involves another person, regardless of what led to the altercation, the argument, the skirmish.
On the football side, if we can possibly separate it for just a half second, we're talking about the 6th or 7th wide receiver for the team, too.
You're talking about wide receiver 7.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, so like as you said, it doesn't matter who you are, and it should be taken seriously 100%, and everybody. But we do know there's a reality of the football side where if you are the superstar, teams are going to be willing to maybe stand by you a little bit more, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying whether I know the Chiefs are going to do that here or
if
not.
it's right or wrong. Yeah.
But if you're the 7th wide receiver, I don't know about you, to me, the calculation might be a little bit different with my organization as well as if we're being honest with ourselves about how teams look at stuff. We're not talking about the all-pro wide receiver here either.
We have a number of circumstances, a number of scenarios that you can lean back on from a context standpoint, right? When this happened with Willie Gay in his own version of a dispute, he was pretty quick to acknowledge that, like, yeah, I messed up. That was stupid. Like, I shouldn't have done that. I see now, removed from it, the heat of it all, the emotional, like, yeah, I can't do that. That's appalling, and I can't turn the clock back and, choose things differently, but I would. He was also a starter who was a second-round pick who was wildly athletic and talented and has only gotten better as an NFL player, you can argue. We have the Kareem Hunt situation where Kareem Hunt was the leading rusher in the NFL and at every step lied about what he actually did, even though there was video evidence that eventually came out. And he not only lied to the coach, the general manager, he lied to the owner multiple times. And so, he was eventually taken off the team once, things were obviously revealed to the public. I always like to put that little, like, to the public. Once it became fully once everybody saw it publicly, then yeah, we can't operate with this. So I don't know how Justin Ross is handling this. I don't know how he feels. Agent, attorney, marketing director, family members. Like, obviously they've chosen to not say anything, which is their prerogative, and I understand that and try to be respectful of it. But we'll learn something later on today. And if you're the 7th wide receiver who's struggled to get on the field, the odds are already not in your favor before a legal matter comes involved. And if it's a legal matter that you initiated and made worse, yeah, odds are it doesn't bode well for you. But try to correct as best you can with the situation that you were involved in, and it's better to, as humans, it's always better for us to own our mistakes as soon as possible, even though it is incredibly hard to do. And when you're even a public figure of this kind, it's tough to say that, like, yeah, like I have to learn from this, I have to be better from this, and I can't treat that woman or that man or whoever that person is in that particular way that they feel like I didn't give them the same level of respect.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic. He joins us each and every Tuesday, and we'll be on the lookout. You mentioned you're working on something around Travis Kelce, right, and what he's been able to do and what makes him so effective.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to get Tony Gonzalez on the phone because
we just had him on the show like a week ago.
I know. I missed him. I missed him because of other work things. When you try to interview, you guys have been all through. When you try to coordinate interviews, you're just like, I just want to talk to him about Travis Kelce. And he's like, this isn't about Taylor Swift, right? I was like, no, it's not about Taylor Swift. It's not about Taylor Swift.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic. Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending, and we did a little digging going back to 2019 and some things that were said about Travis Kelce.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Tune in to hear Andy Reid every Monday at noon, exclusively on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Cody, tap Alex Gold with our friend Russ Mondry. Russ, I'm told you can get a career in IT almost anywhere.
Yeah, there's tons of of different directions. It's got unlimited growth potential. You know, you can get a job anywhere. You can get a job at hospitals, banks, schools.
Sports radio.
Sports radio, there you go. If you're looking.
And Russ, what about the advancement opportunities through this program?
I mean, there's so many different areas of IT you can grow into. And the more training, the more experience, the more skills, more certifications, the more money.
And you can find out more from Russ and the folks over at Centric. Just go to centric.com/610.
In order to build a great team, you need great deals. And Sonic has the best deal. With the Sonic 2 for $7 deal, you get 2 iconic menu items for only $7. Choose from the foot-long quarter-pound chili cheese coney, the juicy Sonic cheeseburger, or crispy chicken sandwich. Any 2 items, any combination. You can even double up. And did I say it's only $7? Get your best deal today, only for a limited time, and only at Sonic.
Midwest Marine Boat Company is celebrating their new location, now open in Grandview, Missouri. I was just out there a couple weeks ago, and one thing I noticed right away is the additional technicians they now have in their service department. I was talking to some folks there that said, hey, it's great. Some places will tell you, we can get some work done on your boat, but it's going to be a month. A month, the summertime is already here. You don't have a month to waste of your time on the lake, specifically if you've got that boat you've been waiting to take out for months and months. You know what's nice about Midwest Marine Boat Company? With those extra technicians that they have, they're turning boats around faster. Their service department is just simply more efficient to get you back out on the water. And if you're looking for a brand new boat, come check out the new huge, and I mean huge, indoor showroom at Midwest Marine Boat Company. They have the largest selection of pontoon boats in the area. Also, new lines of Bass Cat, Crown Line, Vexus, and CR. Midwest Marine Boat Company, the brand new location with a massive indoor showroom at 13800 South 71 Highway in Grandview, Missouri. We take pride in your fun.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-217-1155. That's 800-217-1155. 800-217-1155.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Well, on the first day of fall, the only thing that was falling was hail, and a lot of it. Don't wait for some hungry, storm-chasing roofer from out of town to tell you your roof's a mess. There's an easier and safer way to know for sure. Online, from locally owned JR & Company. Just visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address, and we'll pull a hail report. If there's nothing there, you have hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we'll come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. Veteran-owned JR & Company will never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof, remember, a roof from JR comes with a lifetime workmanship warranty. Just visit jrhailcheck.com.
Always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrhailcheck.com.
Get a new car at a used car price during our 2023 surplus sale. I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We have huge discounts on all remaining 23 Volkswagen models.
Get up to $4,000 off the 23 Taos, $5,000 off the 23 Tiguan, $6,000 off the 23 Atlas, and up to $10,000 off the ID4 EV.
Get our lowest prices of the year at the #1 VW dealer in the Midwest. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Claim based on 2022 VW retail reports. Financing through VCI OAC.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit, hims.com/joy.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
This report is brought to you by KC Customs. We put the customs in KC. KC-Customs.com.
Want a new truck, Jeep, or SUV, but don't want a new payment? Then come by KC Customs. We'll turn your boring ride into one that turns heads and breaks necks. Set yourself apart from the crowd. Go to KC Customs. We put the customs in KC.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, as we've been mentioning throughout the day, just a couple updates, and we really don't have a ton of details on it, but around the Chiefs has to do with Chiefs wide receiver Justin Ross, who has been charged with 2 counts related to an incident yesterday, domestic battery and criminal damage of less than $1,000. His court appearance in Johnson County Court expected to happen around 2:30 or so this afternoon. At that point, we'll learn some more details. As of right now, no comment from the Chiefs. Also, the attorney representing Justin Ross, no comment at this time.
I guess, like you said, 2:30 today. We'll get just a little bit more information on that. If you want to go back to what Nate Taylor had to say about it, that was just a few minutes ago. Next up on What's Trending, MLB playoffs tonight. Rangers won Game 7 last night. They advanced to the World Series. They await the winner of Diamondbacks and Phillies tonight. They'll take on another Game 7. Both Game 7s in ALCS and NLCS. Gotta love that. Game last night wasn't particularly close. Diamondbacks currently an underdog, obviously, in that game. They weren't expected to get this far. They were down 3-1 in that series against the favorite going into this series. They knocked out the Dodgers as well. This will be the first World Series, no matter who wins tonight. First World Series in 7 years that did not include either the Houston Astros or the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay, fresh blood, even though big-time payroll still, but nice to have some new teams involved. Next up on What's Trending, well, a player the Chiefs will not be going up against on Sunday in Denver is Kareem Jackson. He's been suspended by the NFL 4 games, his second ejection for an illegal high hit this season. He got tossed from that Broncos win last week against the Packers. He's a dirty player. Just call it like it is. He's been flagged 3 times,
That's
ejected twice for going high on opposing receivers. He's appealing the suspension, so I guess that would be the only possibility of how he could play on Sunday is the appeal process, Cody, if they could drag it out a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad if he's not available for the game. I mean, he broke the rule in week 2. He got ejected from that Commanders game that took out, I think it was Musgrave. Musgrave was the Packers game, I'm sorry. Again, I can't remember who Logan Thomas, that's right, the tight end for the Commanders, was still in the air when Jackson made contact with his helmet, and very scary situation there. He's been fined multiple times. This dude's been in the league long enough, 14 years. Like, it's not this is something he needs to be treated. This is what he does.
I saw the angle or whatever that people were trying to say to be like, oh, look, this was more in the shoulder-to-shoulder area than their heads just happened to hit. It's like, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. You know why he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt? Is because he's been guilty of these penalties over and over and over again, so we can't be surprised when he eventually gets suspended for it. Next up on What's Trending, NBA opening night tonight. I got to be honest, of all the players or teams that interest me the most right now, it's got to be Wemby, right? Did you watch that highlight clip of like 2 straight minutes
Unreal.
where he literally looked like that scene of Michael Jordan like reaching for the dunk in Space Jam.
Yeah.
His arm was like 4 times the length of the guy he was blocking the shot. The guy he blocked the shot of was like 6'7". It's like he's a short human being.
Yeah, 7'4",
and he can dribble off the block. I am interested to see Wemby. Obviously, there are some teams that are going to be fascinating this year, including the defending champ Nuggets and the Suns and so many others. But I am curious to see what a guy who was such a prohibitive number 1 overall looks like on NBA opening night.
Minus 145 to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. I mean,
that's a heavy favorite to start a season. Who's 2? Is it Cade Cunningham or something?
I'm not sure.
Remember he missed all last year?
I don't know if he counts as a.
I feel like when you don't
do
play,
that in
it
the NBA.
counts, right? I thought that
I don't
was
know
like
if
the
they do
NFL.
I can give you the odds. Give me
It
about
could be
20
one of the
more
Thompson
seconds.
twins. Cody, you'll be able to see him on national TV, Wemby, by the way.
Chet
on Wednesday.
Holmgren. Same.
I
Who
didn't
also,
know
by the way,
Chet, yeah.
was hurt-
same
was-
difference.
so same thing.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren is plus 380. Scoot Henderson plus 500, and then way after that, there's Brandon Miller. It's a 3-horse race for the Rookie of the Year on paper.
Bet on your guy Grady Dick plus 5,000 Gold.
Yeah, I won't do that. Christian Brown for 6th Man of the Year, though. Christian Brown for 6th Man of the Year is one
could be a good pick,
to keep an eye on. Next up on What's Trending, reminder, coming up on Friday afternoon, I'll be out at the Tanner's location right by KU Med there off of Rainbow Boulevard for a KCK sports betting event. We all know you can't bet in Missouri. A lot of you going over to KCK. Visit KCK. 2 places to bet. Obviously, Hollywood Casino, and on Friday, Tanner's. Be out there giving away some sports betting T-shirts. We got some K-State football tickets for their game against Baylor. Hanging out, having a good time from 3 to 6 o'clock this Friday. Get off work a little early, come by, have a couple drinks, some food, hang out. And those of you on Missouri, come on over, get your bets in before the weekend. We're already going to do that anyway. Might as well do it on Friday afternoon.
Maybe I'll come join you. I normally do it Friday before
Why not,
I leave
man?
work.
Get a couple drinks. Make your bets for the
got anything
NFL
going on
weekend
Friday.
this Friday afternoon at the Tanner's, right there by KU Med. That's what's trending on Cody and Gold. Of course, we'll hand things off to CDOT here in about 20 minutes or so for the drive. And yesterday we were giving him a hard time a little bit, right, with some of the comments that he had made about Travis Kelce. And Rob put together a pretty funny intro yesterday and giving Carrington a hard time as well for questioning Travis Kelce and whether or not, the fact that he put out whether or not Father Time had caught up already to Travis Kelce. And it got us thinking about some comments. Look, we've all had bad takes, but it got us thinking about some other Travis Kelce comments that were made in the past. And Drew did some digging. He went all the way back to 2019.
This is going to be fun.
2019. And I've warned you, we've opened Pandora's box here. Bringing up bad takes. We all have them. You opened it up. It's wide open now. So we go to Bob Fesco. Fesco in the morning, 2019. And what he had to say at that point in time, guys, about Travis Kelce. This tops anything Carrington said, right? I mean, you in agreement with that?
It's at least in the conversation.
Okay. Yes. Let's go back to 2019.
I would not hesitate at all to trade Travis Kelce before the draft. Number one, he's going to be 30 in October. That's a big number right there, Josh. You hit that 30-year mark in the NFL, your skills start to diminish a little bit. He's had at least 3 surgeries that I can remember since he's come into the NFL. Missed that first year because of a surgery, had a surgery after last season, and had a surgery after this past season. He's walking around, from what I've been told by folks up in Minneapolis, in a walking boot right now up in Minneapolis. Not that the walking boot's the end of the world. Look, if somebody's willing to give you a nice return, like if you can get a second and a third for Travis Kelce, I don't think Veach would hesitate to pull the trigger on something like that. Also, Travis Kelce doesn't play well in big games. Only 2 postseason touchdowns in 6 games. He had 3 catches for 23 yards against the New England Patriots. And meanwhile, Gronk, who's now retired, was a beast in that game against the Chiefs.
In fairness, he only had Patrick Mahomes in 2 of those. One of the ones that he had Patrick Mahomes in, he put up 100 yards. The other one, he had a touchdown.
In 23 yards in the big game. Got to play big in big games. We may never see a draft this strong with tight ends at the top of the draft with 3 possible first-rounders. This may be the right time if you were looking to make a move at that position to go ahead and do that. And the Chiefs have shown they'll cut Eric Berry. They'll cut Justin Houston. They'll trade D Ford. They will trade guys that you know if they believe that they can get value back in return for those guys, or just cut guys that they no longer feel can produce at a high level in Kansas City. And that's why I say a second and third rounder back for Kelce. I think you could do that, use those picks, build some depth on defense, draft a tight end in the first round. And I'm under the impression of, which is why I never would have signed Tyreek Hill anyway, you've got Patrick Mahomes. He's that good. He makes everybody that much better. You get
All
extra
for the
picks.
low price of giving up what could be your number one receiving option this
But
year.
you know
Correct.
what? Think big, win big.
That was Pesca back in 2019.
The players he mentioned are gone are correct. Letting go of Tyreek Hill a few years later after they had won a Super Bowl was correct. Eventually, I don't think at the time had they not signed him, it was the right idea because they won the Super Bowl and he was a massive reason why they won the Super Bowl in later that year. Dude, he straight up said trade Travis Kelce for a second-round pick and take Noah Fant, essentially. Because we looked up who the tight ends were in that draft.
TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson, who was going to go top 10, by the way. That was never the player they were going to get up to get by trading Travis Kelce based on getting a second and third-round pick. TJ Hawkinson, the tight ends, the other three that people really liked in that draft were Irv Smith Jr., who's been a perfectly fine
Think big,
NFL
win
player.
big, Cody. Think big, win
and
big.
Noah Fant. I think what's important in this clip, and the reason why we played it, is it expresses what I feel is said about Travis Kelce every single year for the last 4 years. And I'm not going to allow people to be like, see, I told you he got old because you said he'd get old 4 years ago. No, that's not.
Cody really wants to win this Travis Kelce argument. This has been a 3-year thing in the making. I
know, and for 3 years I've had to say he's not getting older. Dude, for 3 years I've had to defend people on this station to be like, he's old. He's getting old, he's getting hurt, and he's not going to keep doing this. For 3 years. If 4 years from now, 38 years old, Travis Kelce finally has a 900-yard season, you don't going to be like, see, I told you he'd finally get old. You've been saying it since he was 30. That was when he was 30 years old. He's like pretty much pre-washed.
Well, trading him would have been ridiculous. Trading him would have been ridiculous. That
He's coming
part's,
off of
that's
4
the worst part
consecutive
of it.
1,000-yard seasons before they had won a Super Bowl.
That's an all-time take there. It's still nothing like the Blake Bortles is the next Tom Brady take from former host of this station, Mike
And again,
Welch.
I know they're going to
And
find
you've
some
opened
takes that-
Pandora's box, my man. You have opened it up. Be ready. Be ready. Yeah, you should have given that material for CDOT.
Will the drive stand behind us because of this?
I don't know.
stood up for Carrington, who was buried by both this show and the morning show. The morning show got him again today. They went after CDOT again today. They played 5 more. They played part of the intro yesterday where they mocked themselves. Man, dude, could you imagine if they traded Travis Kelce for a second and third? In retrospect, and he had 4 more 1,000-yard seasons and 9 more touchdowns a year after he left you.
We wouldn't have had the Taylor Swift fund this year. All that would never have happened if they would have traded him.
And it was in a way trading Taylor Swift as well in that scenario, which also would have been a bummer. That's been a
We would have lost all that opportunity.
Think big, win big, man.
Think big, win big. We're streaming the show on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and we asked you guys last week, and we still ask you, to subscribe on YouTube. It takes 2 seconds, youtube.com/@610sportsKC. But last week, if you subscribed, you were entered for a couple spots in a future Club 610. We have pulled 2 names. We will contact you if you're not listening. If you are, even better. 2 names that will join us at a future Club 610, and maybe we'll have some other opportunities in the future. But we appreciate everybody that did subscribe already to our YouTube channel.
I don't totally know if you can DM people on YouTube.
Okay.
But I'm going to attempt to figure that out. We didn't think that part of this equation through. But in putting all the names on a randomizer, 2 names were pulled. And then we'll pull a couple more down the road as well. Don't worry. Or we'll give you other opportunities to subscribe to our other channels for the video stream to do it. The 2 names that were pulled were Seth. Am I allowed to say full name?
Just use the initial on the last.
Seth C. I will reach out to you. I don't know if it matters if I give their full name. And Clara, she's got a 3-part last name. Let's say D for that.
Okay.
DLT, if we're looking for the other version. Those are the 2 names that were pulled out of the name. Those people will get an invite to a future Club 610.
All right.
Drinks courtesy, of course, Jay Rieger and Company. If you are those 2 people and just want to reach out to me directly, that'd be way easier. But if not, I'll figure out a way to reach out to you.
You're going to have some people
through
claiming
YouTube.
to be certain people. You got to be
Come on, I can see your handles on here.
Yeah,
I can see their handle.
You have to say what your handle is. Yeah.
I can see their YouTube handle. So those 2 people were pulled from it. But again, we'll give you other opportunities to do it. This is a really great way. We like for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, or the Facebook. We like that you're able to do those things. We know that people have asked, one of the constant things we've been asked is whether or not listeners can come to Club 610. We can continue to offering up those things for future subscribers as well, or the people who are already subscribed. I opened this thing up to anybody who subscribed in the last 6 months to the show, including the people who subscribed that day, and then eventually we'll do that for Twitch and all the other ones as well.
Well, person already texting in. Is that
really?
the right name? Text line, 913-586-7610.
Future club, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is that person's name.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying
Are they saying it's them?
They're saying it's them.
Someone says, "Hi, it's me. Offer me gifts."
Future Club 610.
Wait, is it really that person, or did they just go find the initial and just look through the subscribers on our YouTube page?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that works. Sean Barber asked for a 610 invite on a bourbon day. At some point, Barber, we make it happen.
Come on Friday if you want, Barber. I'll make bourbon on Friday if you want.
Did he lose?
Barber, this Friday, let us know. 1 o'clock hour.
Did he lose the Eagles?
No, Eagles keep covering. Barber, we have an in-house again, our listeners have. It's just an in-house competition.
Oh yeah, it was 14 points they won by. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, we have an in-house competition, and Barber keeps rolling with the Eagles to cover, and it's working so far.
Can't complain. Thank you for all who subscribed, and for the people on the text line yesterday who alerted us to the audio that existed of Bob suggesting that they trade Travis Kelce. What's that?
Barber said, "Can I get a Club 610 invite?" And he sent in the group chat that we have.
Yeah,
Carrington,
I said, sure.
Carrington responded, "No."
He said he worked on our show.
Carrington said no. Carrington went ahead and said no on our behalf.
Someone said they also asked if we'd include in the garage sale. Sure. We did last year. We included in the garage sale last year, and it was bid on. It was won by our guy Cam, who came into Club 610. So
that's very true.
We'll give you more opportunities in the future. I've never met, I mean, literally, it's just a random draw.
Yeah.
So let's hope that they're cool, I guess.
Also, in the next day or two, we'll have more details on the Taylor Swift t-shirt drop. That might get pushed to next week, but we'll have some more details on that.
I'm supposed to maybe get those a shipping notification today.
We'll find out for sure, but tomorrow on the show, hopefully more details, at least on when we're planning on doing that. We'll be back at it tomorrow on the show. I'll have Josh Klingler joining us. We'll see if the morning show, I'm sure it gets back to them, some of the things that were said today. So
might have to respond tomorrow.
That could be an interesting conversation with Kling, although it wasn't Kling's take. It was Fesco's take. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since